Eagles clinch. So,
But the Eagles could still make the playoffs too.
Eagles will clinch if the Eagles win this Sunday and the Vikings lose to the Packers, which I think will happen, and then the Niners beat the Texans, which then the Eagles clinch in this week. So we'll see.
Well, that's exciting.
They blew some shitty games. That Giants game was awful, but not this one. The first one they lost. But hey, you know what? I've liked Hurts the whole time. Philadelphia fans are the worst. I mean, not their behavior. I don't believe in that. Like the blue Santa Claus. But I go on Twitter and they're just assholes. Hurts has a bad hat. They're like, Hurts sucks. Fuck Hurts. And I'm like, the guy. It's like this is his rookie year, pretty much. Last year he came in for 3.5 games. They're just Philly. They at least we won the Super Bowl 4 years ago. I'll say be really, really bitter because I can't listen to Philly sports talk when they lose. And our sports guys are just, there's a guy named Boston Scott. A few years ago, they're like, oh, Boston Scott shouldn't be in football. He's awful. He sucks. 2 years ago, he scores 3 touchdowns in the game. They're raving about him. So I tweeted him. I go, I thought you guys said he shouldn't be in football. And they didn't reply. They just like to stir up controversy. But
what do you think about Minshew though? Because I've followed him since WSU. I thought he was amazing there, and then I thought he played pretty good in Jacksonville. Even
he had good stats with Jacksonville, and he played good. I mean, he played very good against the Jets. But
yeah, he lit it up in the one game they let him play in.
Yeah, but against a really bad defense. And he did look good, but he's not their starter. He's not. They're not. They brought him in, and he did look good. And I think that he could start. He could start somewhere else. I mean, he could probably start in Philly, but Hurts is supposed to be the starter, so you can't just sit there and go. If he makes the playoffs with a rookie coach and it's him, they have to say he's our quarterback. They have 3 first-round draft choices next year, so you go get all defense, and you take it from there.
Yeah, I love football. It's good stuff. Even though my team's out of it.
Yeah. My fantasy team, I lost. I was in first place and second place in my 2 leagues. Lost my one team. I lost 3 starters for COVID, and then my other team, the other teams I played, just destroyed it. Like they got like 160, and I got 130 on both teams, and I lost. And
that sucks. I've had those years.
I play for free. Year... It's free. I play free on Yahoo. I don't.
Oh,
I do auto draft. I don't.
Oh, really? That's fun when you play for money. Yeah, I'm still alive in both my leagues. One of them I'm in the championship, and the other one I advanced to the playoffs.
Okay, cool. Yeah, it's just I don't pay for it. I do auto draft. I just do it for fun.
Do you do the sports betting stuff? Do they have those apps?
They haven't here yet. It's all over. I can go. I could right now. I could drive an hour to the casinos in Atlantic City, or drive over the bridge into Philadelphia to the casino, and which is like 25 minutes, and bet. I just don't. I mean, I play one pool. My buddy does a pool, and it's squares, and it was $20, and I one game. First time I played, if the Titans, it was the Jags, whoever had not missed that extra point, I would have won $1,000 on a $20 bet, but he missed. So I'll probably do the Monday night pool. I mean, I'm sitting there and I went to sleep. I'm like, screw this shit. I wake up. I'm like, wait a second. I had 4 and 10, and it was 4 and 9 because that guy missed an extra point.
Oh, I've had so many like that where you have these parlay bets. They have these crazy parlays, like, it's like 10 teams that if they all have to win.
Oh yeah.
Like one time I did one and it was like, I think 12 of the 13 teams won, and then one team was the Saints. I will never forget the Saints and that was the one that I felt the most safe about. Oh, the Saints. It was when they had Drew Brees and they were really good, and they were playing like the Buccaneers, and the Buccaneers sucked. And for some reason they choked and they lost, and that threw out the whole parlay. It was like $300.
Well, I know one guy who does these parlays. He used to be a statistician for the paper, the Philadelphia Daily News. His dad wrote this cartoon called it was a bartender, and he wrote all the copy for it for years.
Yeah.
And I met the guy through a sports talk radio show that passed away, that I used to have a segment on his show when I was in LA. I would call into Philly. But I meet him. I used to meet him for some games, and he bets all this weird shit. Like he'll get some scrub and he'll bet like $5 that guy will score like 2 touchdowns, and if he does, he'll win like $200. But he'll bet like maybe $50. Some bets are $2, some are $5, but he picks just this weird shit, and he has all these apps, and I'm like, just watch the game, man.
That's crazy. Hey, somebody else is here. Do you want to hang out, or
Yeah,
I want to add him?
Put everyone in.
Okay, I'm bringing in my friend David.
I'm thinking everyone come. There we go.
Another podcaster. Hey, David.
Hey guys, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you good.
Hey, David, how you doing?
Good. How's it going, Steve?
So Steve's he has a podcast, Cooper Talk, and yours, David, is it's Shadows in the Limelight. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay, yeah, I was a guest on that one. That was fun. How's that going? Are you still doing it?
Yeah, still going. I've got a few that I haven't aired. I've got a couple people coming at the end of the year too that are just kind of hanging out in the time off they've got. So I thought that was good for being a hobby that my wife said I needed to go find something I should do with my life that was fun. It's turned out to be a pretty good deal for me.
What's your podcast about, Dave?
The idea about it is bringing up people in the entertainment industry that are not front and center. So everybody knows John Bon Jovi, but not everybody knows Phil X. So that's kind of the premise there, I guess. And it started off kind of, I'm a big Kiss fan. So it started off kind of as using a little bit of the Kiss Army as a network, people that were kind of behind the scenes there. And then I had Ryan Roxy from Alice Cooper on. And
wait, you already had him on?
Yeah, I had Ryan Roxy on.
Oh, it took me like 2 years to get him on the show. Did you have a connection there, or you just asked?
Yeah, so his touring mate, Phil Schaus, was on my show as well.
Oh,
and
okay.
Phil plays in the Ace Frehley and Gene Simmons band. He's also in Accept. And then some that I got that were kind of crazy that I was excited about was I got Bruce Boughton from Garth Brooks.
Okay.
And Bruce plays steel guitar on all those early Garth Brooks records. So of those 200 million albums that Garth sold, Bruce Boughton's on all of them. So
you're a big Kiss fan?
Oh, I'm bigger than you.
I had Kulick on, Bruce Kulick on.
Oh, yes. I'm gonna go see Bruce Thursday.
Yeah, I had him on. God, when I lived in LA, I had him on like 4 years ago, and I kept chasing. I just found him on Facebook, and I kept chasing him, and I finally he did it. Real nice guy, because I was just like, he was in Kiss, and I really, it's just he was cool, and that's cool. Yeah.
Somebody just said you're a hottie, David.
Oh, that's fantastic. I'm hoping it was my wife.
Hey, it might be.
People are watching.
Oh, you know what it is?
Okay, good.
Lindsay. I just realized the last name's the same. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, given where I'm from, it's either your wife or family, and you hope it's not family.
Yeah, if they said hottie, that's a little.
Yeah.
So how was you guys' Christmases? You did anything fun?
It was good. It was.
Are you guys sick? Because I feel like everyone is sick right now. Everyone I talk to is like half the people I talk to. Hey, you want to do this live stream? No, I can't. I'm sick. Or that's just an excuse. I don't know. But it seems like a lot of people are sick.
I'm vaccinated. I'm all set up. I went out with some business associates on the day before Christmas Eve, and needless to say, I shouldn't have driven. We drank a lot, and I sort of felt like crap the next day.
That's what you have Uber for.
I know, but I was already there. I met them for lunch. It was these guys in my networking group, and we started with beer, and then we were drinking old fashions, then shots of tequila. And I got home, was drinking some peppermint vodka. So the next day, me and my wife had a feast of 7 fishes, but I was fighting a cold on Christmas morning. But I'm pretty sure it's not COVID. I mean, I know you can get it if you're vaxxed, but it's a matter of every day, like every Christmas since I was a little kid, I get sick at Christmas time. I mean, I'm 58, and for 50 years, when I did stand-up comedy, I would always play my hometown around Christmas, and I would go and I would just be dying, and I would drink hot tea with lemon and honey. I could pump out a 30-minute set, and then as soon as I got off stage, I'd lose my voice. And it was just like, now I think a lot of people are just, a lot of people are getting COVID, but it's unfortunate. Now it's like you had it, Chuck. It was bad.
Right.
Now it's like a cold. And so we don't.
Yeah, I had the shitty strain. I had like the bad one where you couldn't smell. Like, yeah, it sucked. But
we did the vaccines in our house, and I got it too. And maybe I got like the man version of the cold when people say that, or Matt got the man version of COVID, like the man cold. But it knocked me back for 2 or 3 days. But we've had just the regular junk go through our house. Not being from here, I'm like, we'd always get sick at home when it'd be 20 degrees outside. I'm thinking here in Phoenix, 65 for a high during the day. Now you're not going to get sick, but still runs through, and allergies are bad. But Christmas was good. We had the little one, so it's never a sleep in morning for us. It's usually a 6:30 mad dash down to the tree and that whole thing. So that was exciting.
Nice. All right, I'm bringing on another person.
My wife got me one of those small wine coolers, because what I do is I buy all these different microbrews and I don't finish them. I go, that looks good, and I'll buy a 4-pack, and I'll try to make 1 or 2 so they take up all the refrigerator space. So my wife says it was a present for me, but I think it was actually for her, because now she took all my beers and the wine I had in the fridge and put it in that. And now she has a refrigerator back to herself.
Welcome. Wait, you're going by the Mista?
The Meister. Hey.
The Meister. So another podcaster, Brews and Tunes, the Steve Cooper Talk, David Ledbetter, Shadows in the Limelight, and you got Brews and Tunes.
Nice.
Do you have 2 podcasts, though? Do you have another one? Or is it just Brews and Tunes?
Just Brews and Tunes.
Okay. Yeah, because I watched some of yours. Is it on YouTube and audio?
Yes.
Okay. I think I watched the Laura, what's her name? The girl from Burning Witches?
Oh, what is her last name?
Gilderman or something?
Yeah, Goldenberg.
Okay. What are you drinking tonight then? What's your brew of choice tonight?
I set it over there. I gotta go grab it. It's I'm drinking a local beer here from Utah. Utah is the name of the brewery. It's a Snowcat IPA.
Wait, you're in Utah and you drink beer in Utah? That's got to be hard.
You'd be surprised, actually. There's a thriving artisan, micro brew industry here. I think a lot of
people limit with what you can get on draft. Like, isn't it a low percentage that you can get on draft or something?
Used to be. It's changed. I mean, It's still lower compared to some places, but it's not that it's they've upped it. The law changed this past year, so things have changed.
Yeah, I'll never forget the time I moved to Arizona. I drove from Washington. I went through Utah, and it was actually election day. It was the time that Obama was elected, I think the first time. And they said they had just changed the law that year, because before you couldn't drink on election day. I'd never heard of that rule before.
Yeah, all the bars shut down. It's the bars. I think the bars still shut down. I could be wrong, but it's bizarre. It
was weird. And then I'm at the Outback. I was just at the Outback Steakhouse, and the lady had to go in the back to pour me a beer. I was like, what? Like, you can't just pull the beer out of the. No, she had to go like in the kitchen.
Right. Yeah.
We
don't want to disturb those young minds.
I got a beer out of Utah at the time. Well, I lived back in New Jersey where I grew up. I was living in LA, and my wife, who now came back, I came visit her, and there was a beer from a Utah brewery. It was called Cockeyed Cooper, and I got it because it had a beard. The guy had a hat. I have a lazy eye, and I said, all right, well, I'm buying this drink. And I remember emailing, I'm going, listen, man, your label looks just like me. Send me some swag. And they never got back to me.
That was you. Sucks. Yeah, you went to brewing. Yep.
Welcome, Dan. Dan, how's it going? What? I can't hear you.
That's the worst filter I've ever heard.
Is that a filter? It sounded like Mickey Mouse or something. Dan's actually not a podcaster. This is the first person who's not a podcaster to join in, but he's a listener. You can listen to all our shows. We got 4 shows up here worth of listening to. Can you hear us at least? Okay.
Good. All right, can you hear me better now? Is that any better?
Yes.
Okay. Cool.
How's it going?
Sorry about that. Good. Thanks for inviting me.
It's nice to finally meet you. Yeah, you're a fan of the Black Moods, right?
Yeah, fan, friend, whatever you want to call me.
And you helped me get Damon Johnson as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, because I think I had reached out to him a couple times and I never heard back. And then you're like, here, send him an email, and you had his email address.
Yep. Yeah, Damon. I've known Damon for a long time. He's a great dude. God,
his story about Sammy Hagar, I posted that. It was like a short clip. Dude, that was epic. That was an epic. I bet hanging with Sammy Hagar's got to be so fun.
Yeah, you'll have to have him on again sometime soon and get some stories. Now he's a part-time member of Leonard Skinner. He's been on the road with them for months now.
He is?
Yeah, well, Ricky Medlock, or not Ricky Medlock. What's the other guy's name? The other guitar player, the original guy, Gary Rossington. He had heart trouble, had to go in for surgery, and they had to fill his spot for quite a while, for several months this summer, and they invited Damon to kind of fill in. So
that's I think I do vaguely remember this now. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah,
I was able to go check him out. Drove down to Mississippi to see a show. It was Skinner, Tesla, and somebody else on the bill, but really cool show, and just really cool. The other band on the act was Damon with his solo act. He opened the show and then played later with Skinner in the show, so it was really cool.
Wow.
I had Troy from Tesla on my show about 5 years ago. He's a really nice guy. Yeah, he's friends with Rich Redmond, and Rich hooked me up. And so it was cool. Tesla was good. I liked them.
Hey, welcome another podcaster.
Hey,
Matthew Thomas, Super Cool Radio.
That's right. That is me.
How's it going?
Doing good. I'm glad I was able to make it. I'm nice and sweaty from working out at the gym.
Nice. You have any good guests lined up? You do a lot of episodes. Like, I think I do a lot of episodes. I think you do more than maybe anybody here. You do, like, how many did you do this year?
It was 120. Technically it was like 123, but I didn't count 3 of them because they were kind of like just episodes. They weren't that like long or whatever. So officially 120.
Nice. So let's go through the Dan. You can't answer this because you're actually not a podcaster. Or no, you can tell us who is your favorite episode that you heard, but who is your favorite guest of all the podcasters? So for me, I'd probably say John Corabi. Like, I was just a dream come true for me this year. Steve, what about you?
Steven Vanzant. I'm a huge Springsteen fan, and I'm a huge Sopranos fan. Him and bless his soul, the late Willie Garson, who he's done my show twice, but he died just a few months ago. I did him a year and a half ago, a second time. So they were 2 of my favorite. It's just so many, when people ask you that, there's so many, because I do musicians and actors, and I do screenwriters and TV writers. And I've had, I used to do my show in studio in LA, and I've done 888 episodes. So, you can't really pick them out, but Steven Vanzant was probably like, you look at him on Zoom, you're like, holy shit, that's little Steven. And you get a little bit nervous. You're like, I hope I don't fuck up. I hope I don't fuck something up.
No, that's amazing. David, I know you're pretty green still, but you've had some people.
Yeah, I really I had Rudy Sarza on. I thought that was
you had him on?
Great guy.
He was a lot of fun. And then Bruce Boughton was really cool for me just because I became a big Garth fan. I was late to the Garth, just even country music in general, and seeing him live a few times. That was cool to have him on. So here's some of his stories. And he was one of those guys where even no matter how much of a rookie you are, that guy can make you sound great because he won't be quiet. So
did Rudy tell you the bat story? His version of it?
No.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I asked him about that on my podcast. I'm sure he's probably sick of telling that story, but I was like, dude, I had to hear the story from his lips about how it's pretty cool.
Look good. Yeah, he was and there are all these guys that come on my show. I've just at the end, there's been a lot of them that have just even since have just kind of sent me a random text message just asking how my day's been. It's fun people. I kind of have that moment of it's like, well, so and so just texted me and I kind of feel really good about it. I'm like, well, that's neat. And they're
that's
just
really
fun
cool.
Yeah,
that's really
this guy Chuck Shute showed up on my podcast.
That was fun.
Yeah, all I wanted to say was go Cougs the whole time, and I'll say it now. Go Cougs.
Go Cougs. All right, Brews and Tunes. Who's your favorite guest so far this year or ever?
Oh wow, that's tough. Oh man, I don't know. Can I give you 3? Is that okay?
Yeah, as many as you want.
So one would be, even though it wasn't the best interview because I was a little starstruck, Doug Pennick of King's X, because I'm a massive fan, and I got lost in my questions, to be honest, because I was completely starstruck. But probably my best interview ever, in my opinion, was Tony Dolan of Venom Inc. That was an amazing interview, and then one of the most interesting interviews I ever did was Lucas Fox, the original drummer of Motorhead. It was a 3-hour interview, and I barely said anything. I couldn't get words in. I just let him go. He's fascinating and bizarre, and really fun.
What is he doing now? Is he still in the business?
He does a lot of production work, a little bit of drumming, but mostly production work. And he's fascinating, and he's writing a book about his time with Motorhead and Lemmy, and he's fascinating. And I'm not sure if all of his stories were real, but I don't really care because it was just joyous. It was so fun talking with him.
That sounds amazing. I'm gonna have to try to have him on too then. Dan, I know you don't host
Pinnock's a good guy. Doug came in the studio, and he's the tallest and thinnest guy. Doug Pinnock is like the skinniest guy I've ever seen in my life. Like, I'm interviewing him, and I've got a picture with him, and I'm like, wow, this guy is so thin, and he's so nice, and he's very, very open about everything. And he's just really, King Sax has been so underrated. But I remember I got him when I was in LA because my buddy's a huge fan, so I sent him a message somehow, and he came to the studio in Burbank, and I was like, wow, this is pretty cool.
That's awesome.
He's just a lovely, lovely human being. He's so friendly. He's so, like, as you said, he's just very open, just a beautiful person. Yeah.
All right. Dan, do you want to? We're just going through it, Dika. We'll get to you in a second. We're going through our favorite guests of the year. So Dan's not a podcaster, but he's a listener. So what's your favorite one that you've listened to, Dan?
Well, I'll give you a couple. My favorite of yours, Chuck, was probably the Jeff Tate interview.
What? That was fucking terrible.
Because it was so entertaining because you just knew it was gonna go off the rails at some point. You're just kind of waiting for it to happen because that guy is such a train wreck, So
well, I'm glad it's his fault, not mine, then, because I was so awkward and uncomfortable. I was like, I'd ask it like, what was it? I asked him a question about one of the songs off Empire, like, what was that song about? And he goes, I don't remember. I was like, you don't remember what you wrote the fucking song? Like, are you serious? Like, oh god, that was so terrible.
But the way you handled it, great. I thought. I know you were kind of beating yourself up a little afterwards, but you shouldn't have, because it's not easy interviewing a guy like that, right? And I thought you did a really good job with it. And it was the entertaining part of it was just kind of waiting to see what kind of crazy things he would say or how he might react. So anyway, of yours, that was probably my favorite. But looking at other podcasts, just listened to the Smartless episode where they interviewed Dave Grohl, and that was really cool. If you're not familiar with Smartless, it's Jason Bateman, Will Arnett, and Sean Hayes, and they're really funny guys in their own right? And then they're getting really top-notch A-list celebrities on their podcast, most of whom are actors or comedians. So it was kind of cool to hear them interview a rock star and hear them just kind of live out some of their own rock star fantasies talking to Dave Grohl. That was
that sounds amazing. I'll have to check that. I love Dave Grohl. I saw a little bit of his. I think I saw most of it, actually, the one where he was on Stern. That was pretty good. Talking about Kurt Cobain and stuff. Matthew?
I'll probably give you a few. So for this year is probably my in-person interview with Kaleido. I know you interviewed them as well.
Yeah.
It was awesome just to finally get to meet them in person. Like, I saw them live a few times, but then to actually meet them in person, it was actually really cool. So that was a lot of fun. And then probably Kingdom Collapse. I interviewed them behind like a sketchy bar because I was part of a huge music festival. And we were trying to find somewhere to do it where it wasn't like super loud because the stage was outside. So we're in an alley behind the bar doing interviews. So I thought it was kind of fun just because of just where we were. It was just completely random, but it worked out.
Do you do most of yours in person? Because I think I'm almost I would say like 99% of mine are Zoom.
It's probably like 80% was actually like through Zoom. Okay. It was probably like in the summer, and then kind of in the fall is when I did in person. It was just kind of if I could do it or get it. But I'm trying to do more since I actually have good equipment now.
You like in person better? Because I feel like I almost like Zoom better. It's almost like easier.
I like in person better. It's just I actually get to meet the person. I actually get to vibe with them better instead of just
the hell with meeting them. I'm joking.
What's up, Adika?
How are you guys doing?
Good.
Okay?
So yeah, we're going over our favorite episodes or interviews of the year.
Well,
that
I got
we've
a quick
interviewed or
question.
ever.
I want to meet everybody here because
Okay.
I'm sorry I'm late. Costco.
No. It's
Costco.
it's popping. It's not
So
like a.
I want to
job
go.
interview.
First, I thought you had Steve Cropper on. I'm like, holy shit, Steve Cropper. But Steve Cropper.
Steve
nice
Cooper's
to-
funny. I became friends with
Cooper.
Jack White, who was Rick Springfield's drummer on Facebook, just because he was friends with a mutual friend of ours, and he thought it was Steve Cropper. So he sent me a message. He goes, "Hey, Steve, what's up?" But I'm like, "Hey, we're friends with Rich Redmond." And he's like, "Oh shit, I thought you were Steve Cropper." No. He goes, "You don't look anything like him." He goes, "I can't believe I didn't
So
make
you're
that
like
connection."
disappointing all these people. Okay.
Well, you know what? With my eyes, you could be Steve Cropper. I'll call you Steve. Tell me, Steve, you have a channel. What's your channel, first of all? I want
My
to meet
show
everybody.
called Cooper Talk. I've been doing it for 10 years. I've done 888 episodes.
Wow.
I've had a bunch of 15 Rock and Roll Hall of Famers, Oscar winners, Emmy winners. A lot of them have been dying. Ed Asner. I met Ed Asner in studio. And Ed Asner, he came in because I used to record when I lived in LA. I recorded in the studio in Burbank, and I'd have him come in for an hour. And Ed Asner was a great guy. And I got him so easy because that was the thing. And when we took the pic, we'd always take pictures after. And he's joking around, just looks at me and goes, take that fucking smirk off your face, whatever. And then as he was coming into the studio, the actress Sharon Lawrence was leaving, and they had known each other, and she just got done. And he comes in and the studio and goes, which microphone did Sharon speak on? I go, that one. And he starts sniffing it and fake kissing it. And I said, this is going to be
he's great.
He's insane. I mean,
that's a great
he comes
one.
with his pants pulled up to here. I mean, but
old school.
Just old school. Like his stories, you don't even know what to ask him. The guy's won so much.
He just go, that's a great one, man. Remember him in Richmond Mormon?
Oh yeah.
Remember
Falconetti? Oh yeah.
Oh, Falconetti. Did you interview
No, he's dead.
I know, but maybe a couple of years. He died.
It's funny. I always do that sometimes. I'll find like a TV show and I'll go, I should interview that guy. And then I'll get back to you.
I have a friend of mine. He does that. He's like, you should get this guy, and he's telling me mobsters. His name is Derek Sherinian. He used to be in Dream Theater. Dream Theater, and I go, Derek, the guy died 2 months ago. What are you doing? So Steve? What's the name of your channel?
Cooper Talk. Go to coopertalk.net.
Okay, I have a bunch of my people I see in here. Donnell, Debbie,
awesome.
Lindsay. They're all here. I want you guys. All these guys here, give them all the love and support here because it's tough out there, this YouTube world. Now, David Ledbetter, Belly, I'm going to call him the blues guy, but Ledbetter. I say everything wrong. I'm Brooklynese. Tell me your channel now. You're a Kiss fan. You're a Kiss fan.
I'm a big Kiss fan.
They stink.
I've got Shadows in the Limelight. I'm the newest one here. I did 15 episodes this year. I've posted 13. But I was going to get this big name country act. And here I am thinking, well, God, this isn't that hard to get acts. And the guy goes, I'm flattered you reached out. And at this point, I'd posted maybe 6 episodes and thought, well, the number of views that I have, what are you so flattered about? He thought I was David Ledbetter, the famous golf instructor.
Yeah.
I did like talk and he goes,
so the trick is we got to change our names to be either sound like somebody famous or like the exact famous name.
Yeah, that guy is David Ledbetter. I told the guy, I said, I'd love to have your client on, and I'll still charge you $350 an hour to swing to the golf club. I just want to tell you to do it right, but it didn't work out for me.
But how long? When did you start your channel?
Just October of this year.
Well, congratulations, and you know what? Welcome to the world of madness, fun, and you'll make you lose your hair, and you have to buy a hat like me forever. But
I'm starting to have to put my back to bring it over. I think
I cut my own hair. I'm so Jewish. I ain't paying nobody to cut my 3 follicles. But anyway, okay. Now I'll probably say your name wrong because Brooklynese, the Meister. I love. What is it? The Meister. The Meister.
I flipped it up and you got it right. Nice.
I got it right. And what's the Bruise and what?
Bruise and Tunes.
Bruise. That's a good name. Hold on. I'll fucking take that fucking motherfucker. That's a good name. I love the beard. You got the hair. Go fuck yourself. Nice hair. No, I'm joking. Tell me about your channel.
So my page is pretty old. I've been going for 10 years, but the interview thing is a newer concept with my page. So, and I'll be the first to admit it. My page is ridiculous. I've been doing this. It's Facebook. I pair heavy metal, hard rock albums with craft beer.
That's Cool. That's
I
a great
love his
shtick.
stuff. I've only seen a few episodes, but the ones I watched were amazing.
Oh man, that's a cool. Hey, can I come on your channels and ruin your following? Just bring me on. I'm good at doing that.
That'd be awesome.
No, that's a cool shtick. Okay, Matthew Thomas, Rob Thomas's brother. I'm a big fan. Dude, tell me about you now.
I have super cool radio, as this hat says.
That's cool.
Nice advertising. I started about almost 3 years ago. I've been mostly interviewing musicians, but I also I had a few wrestlers on, not like famous wrestlers, just a couple of local wrestlers, just for fun. I had one beat me up, and
beat you up on your channel?
Yeah, he was, his gimmick was he just had a huge fight with his former tag team partner. So we did an interview, and the point was I was supposed to say this guy's name, and then he would freak out and throw me off camera. And we did it, and then my next video, I was in a neck brace, and I had people message me "Are you okay? What happened?" Because no one pays attention every video I post. So I had people message me "Are you okay? What happened?" All that.
Isn't that your most popular video too?
I think it's 4th right now. It was the most popular.
Really? How many views you get on that?
It was 150.
God.
But
God.
yeah, it was something.
That's great.
So I've mostly been doing music because that's what I like. But
you mostly do indie music too, right?
Next year.
Isn't a lot of your stuff indie rock?
For the most part, yeah. I mean, I've had a few
very cool
label stuff, but yeah, most of the time it's unsigned independent artists.
Cool.
It was very good. Look, Dan got something up his sleeve. Look how mellow and calm. Come on, Dan. Tell me about you. You're being quiet. Come on.
That's right, because I'm not a podcaster like the rest of you guys that like to talk all the time. I like to listen. But
No,
Chuck was kind enough
we
to
need
invite me
more. We
on.
need more Dans in the world. We got
Dan,
enough podcasters.
tell me about your channel, Dan.
I don't have one. That's what I'm saying.
You don't have one?
He's just a fan.
Oh, you're a fan?
He's a listener. I wanted to meet everybody that listens to podcasts. Nobody else had the balls to come in. He's the only one with the balls to come in, and I wanted to meet him because we've been chatting. He helped me get Damon Johnson, and we've been chatting about the Black Moods. We both love the Black Moods and other shit. And all these people that share my stuff, I'm I want to meet you people. Come and say hello. And Dan's the only one with the balls that could come in and say hello.
Man, I gotta tell you, Dan, really nice to meet you. I think it's cool you did step up here. I see a bunch of the people in the chat. I wish they'd come up here and you put a face to a name. It's cool to meet people like that. So I think that's really cool.
Chuck said, he and I have been chatting and conversing for quite some time.
I know. I tried to get you to come to the Black Moods. I don't even know what they called it. The Circus. It wasn't Circus Mexicus. Whatever. The Black Moods is this indie band. You should have them on your show, Matthew. You'd love them. But they do this thing in Rocky Point, Mexico, and they played 3 nights in a row. And I don't know if you guys, if any of you have been to Rocky Point, but it's freaking amazing. I love it.
I might have been there, but I probably don't know.
So Adika, what's your show?
Don't even ask. Don't even get me started.
You have 2 shows.
I have 2 shows, and the one show I'm really hustling now. It was called Talking Wax with Adika Live, but I'm transferring that into Artist on Record, and it's basically it's your ultimate intimate conversation with your favorite artist. That's my look. But I had people like Gene Simmons, Jack Douglas, who produced John Lennon Double Fantasy, a lot of cool people, John Sebastian from Love and Spoonful. That's that show. And then I do a morning show, which I do that Monday and Wednesdays. It's called Coffee Talk with Adika Live, but it's going to be, the handle's going to be Adika Live. It's just, there's so many coffee talks. When I started the shows, I didn't know what I was doing, to be honest with you. I just wanted to banter with people. So then my first interview for Coffee Talk was Doc McGee, Manager's Kiss.
Oh, and, that's epic. He also managed Motley Crue and Skid Row, right?
Yeah, but my backstory was I was a musician. I used to play with Eric Singer from Kiss. I played with Dee Dee Ramone. Actually, cool. Dee Dee drew me that piece right behind me. But anyway, that's what I was doing. I was playing with guys from Guns N' Roses, Kiss, and I had a band with Slim Jim from the Stray Cats.
And you played with Ryan Roxy too.
Ryan Roxy. Well, me and Ryan used to live together before he was in Alice Cooper, and we moved from New York. He was a band Electric Angels. When they were breaking up, Ryan taught me how to play bass. Wow. And then we moved together. And at that time, we were in a band, but I didn't think Ryan sang so good. And I go,
Was that the,
I give him a hard
My Dad's
time.
Porno Mag or whatever?
That's Porno Mag, but we were called
That's a good
Unbelievable
band, though.
Truth before. It was called Unbelievable Truth before. And then I played in Gilby Clark's band with Ryan, and that's how I met Eric Singer. So I was then I met this lunatic podcaster that I was like, you make money doing this shit? And the guy's like, oh, you know, people are like you should, do it. So I did a vlog on this guy.
Wait, who is the podcaster?
I don't
I can't say?
I don't want.
But he made money?
He makes money. He does good.
Was it Marin?
No, I don't know who that is.
Mark Maron. I had Mark Maron on in the very beginning of when I didn't record it. It was just on his internet radio. I had Maron come in because he knew, and he came in and he was a good guy. It was that was like in the very beginning, because I think some of my earliest big guests. Well, I'm friends with Paul Tompkins from the old Philly comedy scene. I've been friends with Paul for years.
Okay.
And Blaine Capash and a bunch of guys like that, Cato Kalin. And,
wow, that's
Cato's
cool.
a real nice guy. But I had Marin on, and but it was when I didn't record my show because it was just an internet radio studio in Burbank, so it went straight out, and then eventually I started recording it.
That's cool to see now. When I was doing my show, a friend of mine, he's a big comedian. He goes, "You need to do your own show. You're funny." And I didn't. Andrew Dice Clay. So then I was like, "You're
not to name drop."
I go. What, are you out of your fucking mind? I know. I'm gonna stay at and do this. So anyway, I just started rolling this out.
Friends with him, right?
I did. He was on my show.
You know Eleanor then, right? Eleanor.
Of course. Yeah. You know Eleanor?
Yeah, she was on my show years ago.
Eleanor's great. Yeah, I
had her on the
Eleanor. I don't know who Eleanor is.
Eleanor Kerrigan.
She was Dice's. Actually, she used to go out with Dice before. She was his fiance, and then now she opens up for him all the time.
She's a comedian.
She's really funny, and there's a whole backstory how I got Dice, but then I ended up morphing into I'll do interviews. But then I saw David Duchovny on your show. I go, let me try to interview him. When I did David Duchovny, I forgot that I was going to do an interview, and I'm like, I know nothing. I only know the actor. So I'm like Californication. So I do StreamYard all the time. I don't like Zoom. I'm out of my element with Zoom. So then I was on the toilet. Zoom gives you a reminder. I'm like, oh my God, I'm on the toilet. I got this guy. So I go on. I'm like, David's waiting. I go, hey David, how you doing? I go, okay, he is. And I had nothing. I didn't know. Everybody wants to know about you, but I'm a YouTube sensation. You're going to want to know about me. So what we're going to do here, you can ask me some questions. It's going to be a lot. What? I'm going to interview you. I go, don't get nervous. Don't get wild. It's going to be okay. I know I do that to people. And I just rolled with it. And it ended up being a great interview where he was showing me his vinyl record that he made his own fake album cover when he was a kid. He's talking about he had, a girlfriend and that he's with now. So his publicist goes, Dave, like you a lot, so maybe you want to take some of this stuff out, I'm like, oh, don't worry about it, But I try to make the interviews not so much. I mean, Chuck goes hard on the research. I give him a big mazel because I don't have the attention span. I don't really care to know that much about this.
I'm the same way. I know Chuck does great research. I put IMDb. I'm a fan. I don't plan anything.
Chuck is good. He's good.
I love doing the research. I love this. I get so into people. I get so fascinated by everything about them.
Research, Chuck. I respect that. I don't.
Chuck
enjoy it. Yeah.
And for me, when I would do it, I had to run with an hour. I had to do an hour when I was in the studio. It was an hour time for the internet station. So I just learned if I write questions out, I get bored. And I think that's my background. When I was younger, I did stand-up comedy. I used to tour a lot.
That's it.
I would go on stage. You would want to mix it up. But Chuck Chuck even listens. Chuck's listened to my interviews, and I'm like, why are you listening to mine? Because if I listen to someone else's interview, I go, well, wait a second. They asked that question. Or I go, well, wait a second. This person sounds like a dick. I don't want to interview him. Like someone.
I should have known that from Jeff Tate. I don't know.
I love the Jeff Tate. So Jeff Tate was a lunatic. Was he a maniac? We
were talking about that earlier. How Dan said it was his favorite interview that I did. I was like, that was my worst one. Are you kidding? Like it was so awkward.
Chuck, that's what happens. I have a friend. His name's John Lamoureux. He does a podcast called The Hustle, and I had gotten Richard Lloyd from the band Television, and. We had a great time, but then John was interviewing him, and 20 minutes into the interview, he goes, "No, I don't like your questions. I got to go." And he's like, he hung it up.
Steve?
Wow.
My attitude is, it's. I treat it like the gig. So I mean, I did I'll name drop for a second. I had this band called the Starfuckers. And it was me, Slim Jim from the Stray Cats. It was Tracy Guns, Ellie Guns. It was Gilby. This guy, Eric Dover, who's been on the show, great singer. We ended up, Eddie Van Halen called me up to play his backyard party. And you could YouTube it. It's Eddie Van Halen's backyard party. And I wasn't a Van Halen fan. Nobody was going to get mad at me right now, but I was more into rock and roll, oldies, doo-wop. I love all that stuff. He calls me up on the phone, and right away I go, Derek Sherinian, I'm going to make your fantasy, your dreams come true. I called him up, and I made this gig happen. And it was so much fun, and we played, but he was drunk out of his mind, Eddie. And I try to treat my interviews like that, like I knew nothing about him, but then we all bonded, and it was funny because I tried to make it more natural like this. I know nothing about you guys. Ask a couple of questions, put it out there, make it fun, and whatever happens, happens. But it's not easy doing YouTube, man. It's really the hard. I didn't think
I don't do YouTube. I just do. I mean, I do all. I interview via Zoom because when I lost the studio when I moved back east, I did it by phone.
Okay,
and that's it's hard to interview by phone when you're doing an hour because some people will pause and you think when you're talking to someone you can tell when they pause, but when it's on the phone you can't. And I've just done it. I sent it to my website that sends it out, and then I have few internet radio stations I send it to, but I don't do the YouTube because I don't know how to edit. I don't know. Chuck's got a nice opening. I can't figure that shit out.
Chuck, I know Chuck's very professional. I had to step up my game when I saw his thing.
You have that nice opening. The boom, 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 boom.
But he's so nice.
Because I watched this YouTube video that said even if you have a 4-second opening, that's too like an intro. That's too long. You should just go right to the interview. I was like, really?
I'm learning too about it. I'm learning.
Yeah, I think Adika and I, we watch a lot of these YouTube videos. You took a class or something about how to be a better YouTuber, and
I did take a class, and I thought it was the most wasteful amount of money I wasted on my fucking life.
You can find all that shit on YouTube.
It's just my wife. My wife goes, you got it, and I'm like, listen to my wife. Happy life, happy wife. Is she home? But I want it to be, I think if more people with the YouTube or I'm doing podcasts too. I upload it on a podcast, my show, Adika Live, and then I do a game show Saturday night where I give away vinyl records. So I match what I do is the first Saturday of the month because I'm trying to engage with the audience. But for some reason, YouTube doesn't push me out. I can't bust that algorithm. Because I have a doctor on my show, he'll start getting crazy and we start getting nuts.
Oh, shit. Does he talk about how COVID's a hoax or something?
You don't even say that word on your show. If you want to, don't even say it. Go the thing. Call it the thing. I heard a rumor that you can't even say ice cream. It's so crazy. But then that's who I am. I'm so obnoxious that if you hate obnoxious people, you'll still want to watch me because you don't know what disaster I'm going to land into. But the vinyl game show I do the first Saturdays of each month, I have 3 rounds, and you go A versus B, and I take from my Patreons, and they talk about their record, maybe there's some history. Then the next person goes, and the audience votes, and then the best 2 out of 3 they win a vinyl record from me. But now I'm going to do a show, a ripoff of Name That Tune, because YouTube only allows 4 seconds, so I'm going to play that one and start doing that. My brother-in-law, he has a show on Instagram called $15 Game Show. Now,
is your brother-in-law John Mayer? Somebody said that in the comments. Is that true?
My brother-in-law, his name is Carl Mayer. It's John Mayer's older brother. There's 3 brothers. There's Carl, there's John, and then the third one is he's like Happy Days, the brother that nobody knows about, Chuck. Ben, his name is Ben. But anyway, he does a show, $15 Game Show, and I go, this is great. He gives away $15. And it's trivia. I go, this is fantastic. But I go, I need to do something like that. So I'm going to do that on my Artist on Record show and interview artists. So I'm mixing that up a little bit. It's a new channel. And if anybody here from Chuck's channel, if you feel bad for this lonely Jew on Christmas, subscribe, like my channel, give me a thumbs up. And if you hate it, send it to somebody that you can't stand. Let me annoy them as much as I annoy you, and subscribe to everybody else's channel.
Yeah, no, subscribe. Everyone subscribe to everybody's channel. Let's help each other out.
Chuck's coming on my show tomorrow.
I don't think I have a big audience. But
I'm going to have Chuck on tomorrow morning.
That'll be fun. Yeah,
it'll be
so it's 8 a.m. in the
7 a.m. my time, but you're 2 hours ahead, right? So I'm 7.
I'm sorry.
You're 9.
Are you East West Coast?
I'm West.
Okay, yeah.
Washington.
So I'm an hour later. Oh, that's right. Yeah. You're in Tacoma. You're near my old stomping grounds of Seattle. That's
right. It's nice here. So that's.
I thought it was like rainy and cold. That's what
snow. Snow. I love it. I
Isn't
don't
that every
go.
day, though?
What's that?
Isn't that every day in Washington?
Everybody
Raining
says
cold?
that. See, I grew up in New York, so I like the change of season. Then I went to LA because I thought that's the action, the chicks, the rock and roll. And that's then it all went away. I'm like, well, and I started getting a gut. I go, okay, now I got to get
And then
married
you
and
get
move
me
out.
too. You touch some boobs in the 90s and you're canceled.
Oh my God. It's such a different world. Like Motley Crue to Dirt, there'd be no movie if it was
How did
today.
they get away with it though? They put the movie out like 2 years ago.
But it was a different time, man. It was, you know, as I said,
But the movie just came out like 2 years ago.
I know, but it's past.
Different times.
It was a movie, you know. It's like if that book came out now, people will go crazy. But it's just a different time. I mean, you know, when I was on the road doing comedy, it was like 88 to 95. So it was completely different. It was insanity. But now, forget it.
But being a comic then in '89, what would your shtick be today?
Yeah, it's
right.
It's crazy.
It's really hard on. It's like you can't be like I've always wanted that type. I love the Don Rickles humor, the Dice Clay. I love that type of humor. You know, I don't want to see Captain Kangaroo. I want to see that type of humor. You know, but it's a different world.
Hold on, my brother's crashing the live stream. Joe, are you have something to say?
Brother
Hello?
Joe, I like that. Brother Joe.
Joe?
He's on mute.
I unmuted him.
Hey, Brother Joe.
He was so loud I couldn't freaking. Oh, how do I unmute him? I thought I did. Unmute.
I think he muted himself.
Oh, did you mute yourself, Joe? I can't hear you anymore.
Give Joe a round of applause. Oh, look at the little kid there. Hey, give me
my sister-in-law's. It's his wife's birthday today. So.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Katie. We're all saying happy birthday. He probably can't hear us.
Happy birthday. Yeah.
It's like a loud restaurant.
Happy birthday. The crowd's going crazy for that.
God, how did you do that?
He's just that cool.
YouTube sensation. I could do it all.
Yeah.
Chuck, you had Don Jameson on recently, and I thought it was. I really liked that episode that you did, and I thought it was interesting how he.
John Jameson or Jim Florentine?
Or the last one was it Jim Florentine?
Jim Florentine was the more recent one. Yeah,
you had Don on too. Wow.
I did have Don. Yeah.
Wow.
No, I've tried to get Eddie Trunk, and he was like, he said yes, and then it fell off the rails. Like as you guys all know.
Follow up with him. He hit me up. I got him on. You know, just you can get him on.
It's all timing.
At the time.
It was just bad timing.
Chuck, tell me your favorite interview and the worst interview.
So I think like earlier we were saying, like my favorite probably John Corabi, and my least favorite. I mean, not know if it was just my bad. It was a bad interview. It was Jeff Tate. It was just a bad interview. I don't know if it's my fault or Dan says he loved it, but I thought it was
awesome.
terrible.
It was
Was
great.
it live or did you edit it?
You know which one's even worse than Jeff Tate though? If you really want to see me crash and burn, watch my Art Alakakis or whatever. The guy from Everclear. Art from Everclear. Watch me.
Really?
That one's a bad one.
Art won't do
That's
my
my
show.
fault.
He won't do your show.
No, because I when I was recording in Burbank, we kept messaging back. He said he'd come to the studio, come to the studio, come to the studio. He kept on Twitter and busting around. Finally, I had a little too much whiskey one night. I said, screw it. I sent him a message. I'm like, go fuck yourself.
Oh, that's great.
I said, you probably be a shitty interview anyway. And he sent me a message back going, oh, you wouldn't know. You won't know now. And Chuck's not the first person who I've heard say he was sort of a dick.
Oh, yeah. Just Google like Art from Everclear, Portland, dickhead or asshole or something. There's a whole article about it. And I was like, oh, I didn't see this. And all the research I did. So, yeah, I mean, it's like whatever. I don't know. I mean, I still like his music. And,
live? Did you record it live or you edited it?
No, I didn't edit it. Oh, it's funny because I asked Steve about it after I told him, I go, dude, this guy was like a dick. What do I do? And he goes, you should just put it out there. And I was like, really? I go, I shouldn't edit out the part. He goes, no, fuck it.
I've never edited.
Like,
I've only edited.
I took his advice.
Like
I know he's been doing that longer than me.
Like the Dan Lauria from the Wonder Years. I was interviewing him in his car and he was driving and he went through someplace in Palm Springs and I lost him for like a few minutes. Luckily, I know a guy in LA I can send it to and he cuts it together for free. But I never edit. I just let the interview go. I don't feel like editing is, why?
Yeah.
No, the thing with those interviews was going into it, everybody knows those guys are jerks in tough interviews. So, I mean, there was no surprise to the listener that it was going to turn out that way. It's like I said before, the entertainment value was just waiting for it to happen,
You know what? Those
because
are
I listened to
the
my
best
friends'
ones.
interviews with Jeff Tate, and they weren't that bad. In fact, One of them, the guy, he talked to Jeff Tate for like an hour, and I guess afterwards, Jeff Tate said, "Hey, I'd love to. That was fun. I'll come on again."
Yeah.
So I don't know. Like after 30 minutes, he goes. One of his friends came and like pulled him. It was the most awkward thing, and he goes, "Oh, I guess I gotta go now."
Have
Like,
another interview afterwards, maybe on the clock, because that
I don't
could
know.
be
Yeah, it was the whole thing is weird. I mean, it's only 30 minutes. You could watch it at time and a half and 20 minutes. And
Oh, I
see the
had
train
my
wreck.
bad. I had my bad ones. Like I would do this jam Tuesdays at the Baked Potato with Gilby, and all these people would come jam with us. And Steve Lukather would always jam with us. And I go, "Oh, this is going to be a good one." I remember him from jamming. One of my worst interviews ever. And
Really?
and I couldn't connect with him. And in the beginning, it was a Zoom thing. So whenever I start out the interviews with Zoom, it's down the tubes with me. I hate Zoom. I just don't, because I'm like this.
Is it
type of
really
guy.
that much difference? See, this is the first
No,
time
for
doing
me,
StreamYard.
it's different. It is,
Really?
right, Matthew? It is.
Yep.
But I started the interview out. I don't even. I go, okay, hey, Lukather is his right name. But I said Luther, whatever I said. I said something in Brooklynese. He goes, "It's a Lukather." I go, "Relax, it's going to be okay." And I went down. But what am I going to do? And he's the poor interview. I mean, he's it's like,
Now,
and then
the baked potato. Did you used to play at the jam at the Lucky Strike?
I didn't do that. Was late. I used to do every Thursday at the Cat Club Slim Jim, and then we had like Brian May come play with us. It was really cool. There's like the scene, and then Tuesdays it was Teddy Zigzag that played with Guns N' Roses. It was me, it was him, it was Eric Singer, and we would do like Beatles stuff, and people would jam. Lukather would come in there.
Well, the baked potato. That's in Kotzen, right up the hill.
I think so. The baked potatoes is a great history.
Oh, it's
you
great.
guys.
I know.
Is
I've
it
been
still
there.
there?
It's great. Yeah, it's been around.
It's still there. Don
if you're driving down, if you don't pay attention, it's like you'll drive by.
It's
If you're
yellow.
coming from Burbank, from Barnum, and you make a right. You're driving, and all of a sudden you're like, "Oh shit! I just passed it." It's tiny, but
It's
there's been
been
legends
there
in there.
forever. It's Don Randy from the Wrecking Crew. He's the owner. They tried to make another one
in
on
Hollywood.
on Sunset, and we did the
Yeah.
opening night. I did it with Gilby and Matt Sorum, but it never lasted because the charm. It's almost like the baked potatoes, the CBGB, because it's this blues jazz. Then I'm thinking they got this guy who only knows 2 notes on the bass. I'm like, what am I doing here? But it was a lot of fun. Karabi would play with us. It was just a hang. But what's funny? The money, they charge everybody $10 at the door, and that goes to the band. But while you're playing, you're drinking, so your bar tab is going up. So while you're drinking, at the end, there's no money. It's like, what?
It's like you break even, or do you sometimes have a bill?
Oh, look, who's calling me.
What he's calling? Tell him to join in.
I'll get it after.
Tell him to jump into the thread.
I'll get it after. I'll get it after when we're done with this. But what I was saying is, you play the whole thing, and then it's like, okay, now I got no money to even get home with a cab. But there was some fun stories. I mean, I was rowdy as a musician, and then now I'm trying to do this. I mean, I got some great stories, but
So how come you don't play music anymore?
You know what? It turned out for me, I started losing the love for it. And when, I'm 54 now, and I didn't write any songs. I was always being that guy, playing other people's songs. How far was that going to get me? There was one chance I had where when Buck Cherry was first starting out, Keith, I played with Buck Cherry, goes, "Hey, maybe you should jam with us." This is when they were called Sparrow. And I was working at a lingerie store, Playmates in Hollywood. And I was playing with Gilby. He just took a break from Guns N' Roses. And I go, I'm probably going to do Gilby, Guns N' Roses. You don't know. And I would pick the wrong door. And then I had one time when I was doing the Cat Club, Duff McKagan, before Velvet Revolver, wanted me to play in his band Loaded because his bass player wasn't doing something. So McBob, who's Duff's tech, goes, "You play like Duff, you should, let's hook you up." But at that time I was playing with Dee Dee Ramone, and then I was doing Chuck Wright just got out of Alice Cooper. I was doing Alice Cooper's corporate parties. It was the Glam Nation band that you interviewed, Chuck. Ryan, you spoke to those guys. I was the bass player, and that band became Alice Cooper's band. Eric Dover, Ryan Roxy, Teddy Zigzag. We did a band, Glam Nation. It was Eric Singer's idea. I thought nobody's going to.
Oh, that's the one, yeah, where you guys dress up in like 70s.
I thought it was the stupidest thing in the world. Eric Singer thought about it, and I thought it was ridiculous. And I go, "Who's going to want to listen?" And Eric goes, "You don't know what you're talking about." And I'm like, "Nobody wants this stuff. Nobody wants this." But Eric Singer, He wins in the end. He's in Kiss. He's richer than us, and he had a good idea. And we should have done Glam Nation because it was before Metal School and all that, Steel Panthers, and he was right. He was right on it. But you know, I picked the wrong door. Duff wanted me to play in his band. I go, I'm going to pick Dee Dee Ramone. This is going to be the right avenue for me. And what happened? Dee Dee died. And when Dee Dee died, all the gigs went away, and I had nothing going on. And I couldn't even, you know, I wasn't getting good jobs, and you know, I was going to make no money. I had a kid. So then,
has anyone else played music? No, yeah.
I met
all just fans.
Teddy Zigzag. That guy is.
He's so talented.
How did you meet him?
Amazing person. He played. This is nuts. He played a free show. There was a kind of this super group sort of band, and they played for free here in Utah, of all places, Salt Lake City.
Yeah.
They called themselves what were they called? So it was John Karabi, Robbie Crane.
It wasn't Angel City Outlaws or something. It sounds like was it Eric Dover singing?
Something vinyl, I think.
Oh, licorice. Was it licorice something?
I don't know. Joe Lynn Turner was on vocals.
Oh wow.
Damn, that's a great. I'm gonna Google this now.
Oh, and Fred Curry was on drums, and it was amazing.
An
And then there was a I can't remember the rhythm guitar player who was a complete asshole.
Jeff Tate? No.
To be honest. Yeah, Jeff Tate. No, it was and he's nobody famous. He was just some session guy, and he was and everybody else was very friendly, very cool, and that guy was a prick. I can't remember Brent
Wood? Oh, Brent Woods. Was it Brent Woods?
I don't know.
Plays with Sebastian Bach now.
I don't know, but he was just
really skinny guy with long, like kind of.
Oh, I just found some YouTube. It
could
doesn't
have been,
say who it was.
I guess maybe I shouldn't say that then. But he was an asshole. Everybody else was super nice, like really friendly.
Yeah.
And this guy was like, I'm a rock star, worship me kind of attitude. Joe Lynn Turner is. What a beautiful person that man is.
Great voice. What a great voice, huh?
Yeah, I know. That was super cool. Teddy Zigzag. Oh man.
Teddy is like Dr. John. He's so talented. He's great. We would jam, and I learned, you know, when I first met everybody, I wasn't really that good in the beginning, and these guys taught me. Teddy would go, I'm gonna do the 1, then I'll do the 4, because you can't hear on stage, and every jam would be loose. Like we would do Superstition, which is 1 note, and Slash would come up and play with us, but it was very loose. We never ever rehearsed, and then we were playing at a winery, and I ended up booking for that, and it was selling out. Like we were like 1,000 capacity. I was like, oh my god! But then COVID happened, and I had a real estate license, and then I felt like I lost my identity, and now I'm doing this, and I'm taking a swing at it, and I enjoy it. I do enjoy doing the podcast, YouTube show. I love meeting the people, interviewing the different stories. I have George, which is to me my Ed Asner. I got George Chakiris from West Side Story coming on January 3rd. That's the original Bernardo. I'm so excited about that. I love all that old stuff, you know. But you know, watch it just jinxed it. Watch it all. I'll be like Ralph Crandom, hum the hum the hum the hum. I drive at dusk. But you know, I like these stories, and I just. You know, I'm trying to figure this all out now, but it's a new life for me. It's a new page in my chapter now. You know, I'm 54, so let's see what I could make out of this.
Well, the best thing is like with guests is it's always great. Like I'm a big 80s. I'm a huge 80s music. And just this last 6 months, I've been with Gary Newman, Dave Wakeling,
wow,
Midge Ure, Gina Shock from the Go-Go's. The list goes on. And for me, when I interview them, I'm like, holy crap, you know. And I've interviewed like Mike Score from Flock of Seagulls, both guys from Wang Chung. And it's just when you know the music, the interview, that's like, you don't really have to do as much of a interview. Like I interviewed Lamal, who sang from Kajagoogoo. And I remember when I was in college, that song Too Shy to Shy was like
of course
a dance song. It was like a big song. So when you interview them, you flash back to that and they're always like, oh, wow. You know, then they always seem to tell you a story that relates to that song that you wouldn't know. And that's why that's what's good when you get your guests. It's just some guy who's like a character actor who, like, I love Paul Ben Victor. I just texted him. Paul came on, and if you don't know him, he's been in a bunch of stuff. He always plays a tough guy, but he's like 5'7", and he's you see him. But when you see people and then you interview them, it's just great, and that's why I think a lot of us do it too, just because you're getting one-on-one with people that you really respect their work. And when I always refer to it when you get a good guest, it's like when you're little and collecting baseball cards. When you got like that one card you were looking for, you're like, holy shit, I got a Mike Schmidt rookie, and then all of a sudden you get a guest, and I'm sure Chuck, you know this, you've been stoked when you get guests, and you get an email back, and it's like, okay, of course now we all go through the bullshit when they say he's not going to do your show, and you see him in some other podcast. Like,
it's a drag.
I usually just get ignored. I don't even get a no. I don't know what's worse. I'd rather just get ignored because then I kind of forget about it. But when they actually take the time to write back and say, no, we're rejecting you, and it's like, oh, okay. Like,
Elvira did that to me. She rejected me.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Zach Wild's wife just doesn't respond to me back, but I get a couple of rejections.
I'm fine with that. It doesn't bother, because I send out so many messages. I'm like, I forget that I even asked. So when like they reply, I'm like, oh yeah, I did ask you to do the show. Like, it's one of those. So like they don't need to reply back and say, no, we're rejecting you. Like, it's fine.
I hate when you get ghosted. Like Titus Welliver has told me twice you do my show, and I kept hitting him up, and he's like, I'll do it.
Yeah.
And Bosch had just come out, so it's the perfect time, and he never got back to me. But I'm having one of his friends on in 2 weeks who's done my show 3 times, so I'm going to say, would you just get me Titus for Christ's sake? Because it's one of those things when they say they're going to do it, sounds good. Yeah. And you see it on Facebook. You see they read your message because their picture's right there, so someone saw
that's the thing. I will say, if they say they're going to do it and then they ghost you, that's fucked up. If they
Robert
just
Tepper
initially, that's fine. I'm used to that.
Roy Tepper did my show.
He ghosts me, Robert Tepper. Totally ghosts me, and he read it, and that motherfucker. If you're watching Robert Tepper, fuck you and your No Easy Way Out piece of shit song. And now I listen to Frank Stallone because Frank Stallone did my show. Fuck you, you fucking idiot. You did some other. Frank Stallone's a nice guy. Robert Tepper could go suck the tip of my fucking pecker. That's what I have to say. That's it, hands down. I will never even have him back because he's never gonna have another hit back. That's the truth. You like my Chuck? You sure you want to come on my show? Who wants to come on you guys want to come on my vinyl show and have fun on Saturdays? I would love to bring you guys. After this, let's all communicate with each other, and definitely, even the crazy fan down there, I'll bring you on. I love it. I love it. Just don't stalk me, but I love it. No, but for real, this is a lot of fun. Robert, you got me started, Steve. Robert Tepper.
Refresh my memory. Who's Robert Tepper?
Okay, Rocky song. There's no easy way out in Rocky 2.
Okay.
They did the whole montage. He wrote that song, and somehow he added me on Facebook. And so I said, my friend had him on, and he said he's from New Jersey, like me. And I said, all right. So I sent him a message when I do my show. And he came on, and he was a real nice guy. But unfortunately, the only song I knew of his was There's No Easy Way Out. Yeah. And it's just, but I got along with him. But I
didn't get a chance to get along with him. I could have talked. He didn't give me. And he ghosted me. He I'm like, what the fuck? I had Gene. Not to brag, but Gene Simmons is fucking pretty damn big. Are you bigger than Gene, Robert? Come on. I got Dice Clay. Are you bigger? Get out of here.
It's probably just an honest mistake. Just hit
there was no honest mistake because I turned into Dan down there. I started stalking him. I started writing back. Oh, so you're too good for me, huh, Tepper? Huh? Hey, Tepper, it's Adika. Want you on next week? You want to come? You must have dropped the phone in the toilet. Oh, I was writing all the texts. You must have dropped them. I wrote him.
Wait, they were texts or Facebook messages?
No, text, Instagram message, whatever. I fucking go, hey, Tepper. I was so crazy. I yelled out my window, yo, fuck face. What the fuck? The guy totally ghosted me. I'm relaxed. It doesn't bother me.
Yeah, not at all.
Clearly, you got no.
I've never seen anyone get so pissed off about Robert Tepper.
I can see me getting pissed about somebody really
he's Robert, Frank Stallone. Now he was a lot of fun. He was a lot of fun, a lot of history. He's because he does,
Are you allowed to talk about his brother, or is that like off limits?
No, he would talk. I wasn't going to talk about the brother, but he mentioned the brother. I knew not to mention.
Don't you love that when PR people say, I interviewed Don Felder, and they said, don't bring up the Eagles.
Oh, wow. You did Don?
Yeah. But
that's great.
Only 30 minutes. But he's like, I go, well, how'd you get the nickname Fingers Felder? And then he goes, well, there was another Don in the band. Then he starts talking about the Eagles when their PR person said, hey, don't bring up the Eagles. I had someone, they're like, don't bring up this. I'm like, well, if I'm not going to bring that up, I don't want them on the show. Like, that's why I want them.
Right, exactly. And also, like, no one's going to listen to it if you don't bring up their like highlights.
But it's
Oh my
just it's weird. I mean, some of
It's
these
so
people,
weird.
It's you don't know what they're going to talk about, and like Jack Russell from Great White.
Great, yeah.
I said I'm not going to ask him about the fire because that doesn't interest me. It's tragedy. But in the middle of the interview, he goes, "Oh yeah, that's when Steven Tyler said you're the guy who shot the maid." And I go, "What?" And he goes and tell me this whole story how him and his friends used to rob houses and steal drugs like on Boogie Nights, and he was doing
Right.
angel dust, and a gun went off and it shot a maid, and so he ended up in a rehab instead of jail. And that's one of those stories that I would never ask.
Isn't
But
isn't that why Great White had to take a break because he was in jail, right? There.
no. This is before Great White.
No,
They
he was in jail before. Yeah, that's right.
That was
Oh, okay.
before but they had to take break because like he's had like if he fell off a ladder and broke like every bone in his body. Like if he ever has a drink again, he'll die. I mean, that's how bad,
Is he stopped drinking then?
he had to. And he said, he had his lungs were screwed up, so he was shooting steroids in to keep his voice up. But he was very open. When you sit there, you don't want to ask people about that. And then when they do that, you just go, holy shit, this guy shot a maid. I mean,
Wow.
It fascinates me.
Shot a maid.
And it's crazy how many celebrities have like even killed people, like Matthew Broderick and Vince Neil, and
Oh yeah.
Wow.
they're out and about.
It's crazy. Now what about the people we lost for 2021? The guests that were on the show. I have a couple. I have a few. How about you guys?
I have
One.
Jeff
Yes,
Levard from Cinderella, Willie Garson.
You had him on the show?
Jeff, yeah.
Yeah, I tried to get him because Izzy Presley said that I had him on my show, and he's a podcaster, and he said that was his favorite guest. He said Jeff Levard had the greatest stories.
Well, I had Jeff on when I was in LA, but Jeff's band used to play at a bar called the Galaxy, which is right near where I grew up in New Jersey. So they were the house band after Bon Jovi was the house band. Then it was Brittany Fox. I had a lot die this year. I had Art LaFleur, who played Babe Ruth in the
Wow.
Sand Yard. No, what is it, Sand Yard? As I said, Willie Garson, Jeff, Ed Asner. There's been like people were just dropping for a while. I was like, holy shit, it's like. But then this thing, when you do so many interviews, people are going to die, especially if they're getting older. But it just sucks because you almost like know them, and you're like when Willie Garson died, I was like, he's my age, and I didn't even know he was sick because when he did my interview, he didn't look sick.
Yeah.
John Madden just died. I don't know if you guys heard about that.
Yeah,
he
John
didn't do my
Madden
show,
just
but still, that was like a big. I just saw that like right away. I was like, oh shit, that sucks.
I wonder if they did that show about him on Saturday. I wonder if he was sick and they sped that up to play on Christmas Eve. On Christmas Day, they did the Madden documentary. I wonder if they knew he was sick and they sped that up to get it out.
Probably.
It's just that was on, and now he died like 2 days later.
Yeah, wow. That's I remember playing the video games, the Madden football game when I was a kid.
Oh yeah.
Back in the day, I mean, I had Tawny Katane, and I didn't know her, and then she became a guest on my show. Then we were going to do the show together, and then Tawny passed away, and that threw me for a loop. I'm a big Harry Nilsson fan. Then I scoped out Zach Nielsen, Harry Nilsson's son, because they keep the music of Harry alive. And for people who don't know Harry Nilsson, he did the cover of Fred Neil, which is Everybody's Talking. But Harry Nilsson, just Courtship of Eddie's Father, just Lime in the Coconuts, just great songs. And his son came on my show, and it turned out his son had cancer. This was a touching one. His son had cancer.
Oh shit.
And then I had him on another time because I like coming on your show. It helps me out. And his son was a great guy. And then I had one of my former co-hosts, he said something and it turned south. It was like real awkward. So basically a question like, so how's it feel that your brother's going to die? I told Zach's brother. And I'm like, oh my God. And this was live. So some of the fans of my show got mad and they're all like, I'm never watching your show again. Zach ends up writing to me 3 days later. Stefan, I like your show. Can I come on your show and talk about how come it's okay to put our dogs to sleep but not us? And how come, I want to talk about anything about my father, anything about life or afterwards. I want this to be my goodbye. And I was like, wow. My show's all about banter and I'm being just silly. Not, I'm like, oh my God, this is intense. I'm like, I don't know, Zach. I go, well, if you really want to do this? Because I really want to do this. And I had a doctor on the show and it turned out to be really heavy. I'm getting chills thinking about it, but it was like his last goodbye. He was such a sweet guy. And that touched me big time. So what I did was I reached out to different people. I go, maybe Mickey Dolenz, part of Hollywood Vampires with John Lennon, and his dad would want to say something. Yeah. Couldn't get him. I even asked my brother-in-law. I would ask the favor, but I asked for John Mayer. Maybe he wants to say. He was too busy. Then I ended up getting Alice Cooper singing a song to Zach. At the last second, Calico, Alice's daughter, sent the video, and it was so. And Zach, it brought joy to him. He goes, "I always wanted to meet Alice," and that was that moment of my show. I said, "You know what? You just did something, made somebody really happy, Stefan. And you know what? If my show never grows, at least you had that moment, and you did the right thing on that one." So
That's cool.
always love you, Zach, and wherever you are, you're a great guy, part of the show, and thank you for being a part of it. But that one really was the touching one for me. But yeah, I mean, it is like I'm getting a little emotional, but he was a good guy, and he knew he was very straight guy. Like, I'd make a joke, he'd look at me, I'm like, oh, he hates me. But no, he was great, But
Hey, so you lived in LA and you're in the rock and roll scene. Do you know Max Wassa?
Max, yeah, did he work?
No, it's her. It's her.
Oh, it's a hard.
She
No.
sang back for Alice Cooper. She was in Playboy.
No.
She's a friend of mine. I mean, she knows all the rockers. I thought you might know her.
I don't know Max, but you're from Jersey. You know Jack Ponte?
No, I'm from South. I'm right near the Philadelphia area. I'm from South Jersey.
But are you friends with Rachel Boland? Those guys?
I've interviewed Rachel and Snake just recently, but I'm not friends with them.
Okay, because do you ever used to go to Lemore's in Brooklyn? Ever hang out over there back in the day?
I used to go to the Galaxy in Summerdale. That's the part I talked about.
Okay. Maybe you get it over there, but no, I don't. I heard the name, but I don't know. That one. But there's so many. You know what? It's so funny. The people from New York. I grew up. My best friend when I was a kid, he was in the band Biohazard, the drummer. So I grew up with that whole world. I grew up in Canarsie where they filmed Goodfellas. So that's where the bar that they lit on fire, probably 10 blocks away. But I went to music. I grew my hair. I got into Hanoi Rocks, the glam rock, and I went that way instead of the trouble people way, and that was my out, Danceteria, the end of CBGBs. I worked at Circus Magazine, and then I moved to California.
Wait, you worked at Circus? I didn't hear that part.
Yeah, Chuck. See, you don't know a lot about me. See,
I know a lot of this other stuff. You told me the other
took
night.
all the time to learn about Jeff Tate, and then you got me here, and I'll tell you everything. I'm a Jew. Jeff's not Jewish, so he doesn't want to talk.
Hey, what's your last name, Stefan?
Adika, right here.
I didn't know it was your first name. I didn't know what Adika. I didn't know.
Adika. It's a religion. It's a way of life. No, I'm joking. A bunch of religious people go, "Wait, a jerk off that guy." No, it's Stefan Adika. And then when I was a kid, they called me Stovetop Stuffin'. But no, you know what?
Why?
They want to pick on me. It's obnoxious. It's a whole obnoxious thing. But you guys do. You know what? This is a great thing you did tonight, Chuck, to put us all together and jibber jabber and everybody in the audience. Thank you for watching as well, being here. Alejandro, nice to meet you.
Yes, hi Alejandro. It's my good buddy.
Nice to meet you.
Phoenix. Big music fan. We went to Guns N' Roses concert together. It was amazing. We're like front row. It was like insane.
Great. I mean, great. I saw Guns N' Roses play Lemore's in Brooklyn. I saw them. I lived with Steven Adler. I'm actually in the book, Steven's Appetite for Destruction.
I need to read that.
Yeah, he writes about when we first met because me and him put a band together.
How fucked up was he at this point?
You know who was in the band? It was Steven on drums. It was going to be Spike from the London Choir Boys singing. It was Ronnie Yonkins from Kicks, and it was Kathy Valentine from the Go-Go's.
I interviewed her.
She's really nice. I can't get her now, but she's nice. And then it turned out to be Brian from Kicks. So then I'm a big Kicks fan. So,
because I had Brian on. He told me the story how Steven had cleaned up for like a month. And Brian was using drugs, and then Steven's like, "Give me some of that." And he's like,
That was that time. That was the time I was playing with them. And as a fan, I'm like, "Oh my god, I'm playing with Ronnie and Brian." I go, "This is," and I'm a big Kicks fan, but it never went nowhere. It was just like I just moved to LA, and I was just like,
wasn't it going to be like a cover band or something? Like,
it was called Freaks in the Room. Steven had a band. We were playing the Key Club every Wednesday. His brother Jamie booked it, who does like rap bands now. He was doing Bone Thugs, but we were doing we did a residence at the Key Club, or it was a Billboard. I forget. They had when they first Gazzari's closed down. It was the Gazzari's place on Sunset Strip. So we did the residence, and it was Gilby in the band. It ended up being me, Gilby, Steven Adler. And that was the first time that two guys from Guns N' Roses ever got to play with each other that weren't in the band at the same time. It was really weird. It was Howard Tiemann on keyboards, Howard is a tattoo artist, but I had him on the show. He's a great guy. So he's awesome. He's really cool. He's a good guest.
He has
And,
good stories.
Howard is part of the whole LA scene. I mean, he's if you love that, all the stories. So it was a lot of history there. And, I moved to LA at the wrong time. I moved there right when grunge happened. Cause I remember when I was working at
You moved to
Circus,
Seattle.
I was working at Circus at 87. I moved about 1990. I saw Mother Love Bone open up. I saw Electric Angels, Ryan's band, open up for Mother Love Bone in New York, which for people who don't know Mother Love Bone, they became Pearl Jam.
Basically, yeah. That singer Andrew Wood was so good though.
There's a lot of history going on, and it's like at least I got to see a lot of the cool stuff. I got to see Johnny Thunders. There was a place that's pretty cool. There was a place in New York City called the Loft, and it was an after hours place. It was just people lived there, and they had like a jam in there. It was a loft. So Ryan was in Electric Angels, and we would go to the scrap bar, and we would hang out after the scrap bar. We'd go to the Loft, and there was whatever. There's drugs, there's rock and roll. Everybody's out there, and Johnny Thunders is over there playing Stepping Stone, and not a dollar in his pocket, and it was just. I was like, wow, there's Johnny Thunders. I go, that's wild. But there's a lot of cool stuff I got to see. And
Did you go to CBGB's ever?
I played CBGB's, and it was like nothing. It was just one little place, and then downstairs was this dirty bathroom, and I can't pee in front of people. There's no doors, so it was always a problem for me. So
I can't believe they let that place go away.
They let it go. What's crazy about CBGB's? Then they made something like a store in Vegas or something about it. Or they did something in Vegas.
I don't know. Yeah, I went there and they turned it into like a clothing store or something.
A clothing. It's so crazy. Oh, John Varvatos made us. It's a clothing store.
Yeah, it's like they ruined it.
But they kept a piece of the wall that's the original wall. But when you think of the history, the Police played there, the Clash.
I interviewed Clem Burke a few months ago, and he talked about the whole. And then Chris France, and they both told me about the whole scene. That it was like that's when New Wave. I mean, that's when it was starting. That's like, and we were saying the guest. One thing, Chuck, I didn't say the one guest that a lot of people won't know, but when the guest that was a feather in my cap is when I had Graham Parker on my show.
Oh wow!
Then I saw him live at this little record store because he was doing his tour, and he gave me a shout out on stage, and my friend was like, "Holy shit, Graham Parker just called you out." He was cool because he's like, if you don't look his music up, he was before Joe Jackson.
That sounds familiar.
Squeezing out sparks.
He actually has a song on Rick Springfield's. I might be wrong on the Hard to Hold album. Rick Springfield, he has a song that's really good on the album. I mean, really, he's so cool.
I want to get Rick Springfield. I'm a huge Rick Springfield fan.
My friend manages him, Wayne Sharp, and I can't get. I tried, but I got a Rick Springfield story for you because I drove with him in the car, and that was one of the reasons. When I started my channel, and it was so odd because when the Starfucker gig that turned into, I made it into a band called the Sunset Winos with Ryan and all those guys. We were playing in Paso Robles. So this winery that this guy goes, hey man, if you could get Buck Cherry, that was the first date for our wife. I go, well, I was going to play with those guys. So I called Josh, Todd, and Stevie D, and they did this acoustic thing. Then the guy goes, wow. He goes, well, why don't you do a show? So the show was Skunk Baxter. It was Eric Singer. It was Teddy Zigzag. It was Eric Dover. It was cool. Sold out. Then we did New Year's Eve with Sebastian Bach. It was really cool. Then I called my buddy who manages Rick Springfield, who, this is crazy, Chuck. He's partners with Ryan's old band, Electric Angels. They were on Atlantic Records. They were called Candy. Well, Jonathan
wasn't that the one Gilby Clarke was in?
Gilby was in Candy. It turned into Kill for Thrills, and then it turned to Electric Angels. Ryan Roxy, who's in Alice Cooper's band, went to Electric Angels. But they ended up breaking up Electric Angels, and the bass player who wrote all the songs for Candy, for Electric Angels, he is the manager for Hole, for Train.
Right. He's a
Jonathan
huge
Daniels.
manager now.
Huge. Green Day.
What's that guy's name again?
Jonathan Daniels.
Yeah, okay. I reached out to him, but I never heard back. I wanted him to do my show, just as tell stories about being a manager.
He's huge, but he's an amazing songwriter. But he has it called Crush Management, and his side division is his buddy Wayne Sharp. His nickname was the Weasel back in the day. He worked for a guy named Jerry Jaffe, who managed Pat Travis. But anyway, Jerry used to manage Electric Angels. Anyway, now Wayne does Rick Springfield. They just got Seal. Yeah, they just got Seal too. Great names. Names that I wish I could get on my show. My numbers are just not there I'm being honest with myself. But Rick, I ended up getting him booked at this gig, and and the cash was there. He was going to do it. So I picked him up at the airport. He gets in my car. Oh, this is crazy. So Rick Springfield, no radio, it's off, and he sits right next to me, and I'm like a little nervous now. I go, it's Rick Springfield, I'm like, come on, Jesse's girl, and he looks great, but he's on his phone. He's like looking at his phone. He's doing this. He had like a guitar thing on his phone, and I'm like, what's he doing? Then he goes, how far from the place? I go, 30 minutes. He goes, okay. Then he's quiet. Then I'm like, well, he touches the vent. I go ahead, touch. You could put the radio on if you want. And he doesn't do nothing. He looks at me. Then there's a drive-in movie theater. I go, oh, look, you don't see many of those around, do you? And it's like this quiet. Then we're driving, and he had like depression and all this stuff. I go, oh, that's the mental hospital where they put Jim Gordon, the drummer from Eric Clapton. He killed his mom with a hammer. He lives there now. And
Jesus.
Rick is like in silence. I go, this guy hates my fucking guts. Then we get off the exit. I go, that's where Joe DiMaggio, Marilyn Monroe had their honeymoon. It's in Paso Robles, California. He's like, I thought he was going to call his manager, grabs his phone. He goes, can you slow down a little bit? I want to get a picture. And I go, I cracked Rick Springfield. That was my moment with Rick Springfield. It was the most awkward drive in the world, but he's very shy. But I wish I could get him on the show. But
it sounds like a rough interview.
He's so great, Rick Springfield. When you think about his music, he's so great. Songs are great. Really one of my favorite artists.
Who's your white whale? Who's your unicorn interview? Anybody? Curious.
They all
Springsteen.
Really?
I have Vanzant. I've had Nils Lofgren.
Oh,
but I haven't had Bruce. So
for me, it would be Axl Rose. That would be freaking amazing. I think that's got to be a lot of people's though.
Why you had Vanzant? Oh, that's cool. That's cool, man.
I had him a few months ago. He was great. We did like an hour and 10-minute chat, and I was shit myself.
That's great. I mean, mine would. You know what? It's a question that you think you'd have your favorite one, and it might disappoint you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Mine is not around anymore. I'm a huge John Lennon fan, and that would have been it. But I would say the closest would be McCartney, and I would like to. Or you know what? I did have a run-in. I met him at a party. I got to meet George Martin, who passed away. I have a picture of him with Jeff Lynne. I like to talk to Jeff Lynne. I'm a big ELO fan.
That'd be a good one. Yeah.
Yeah. So Jeff Lynne would be. He's not too far away to do it, and that's one I would like to do because it's like it's one of my favorites.
He's so talented.
You talk about McCartney, a guy I used to do stand-up with. His name's Paul Mercurio, and he does a podcast. And he lives in Manhattan. He was in New York, and he was leaving the building where he records, and he saw McCartney on the elevator. He said, "Hey, man, you have like 35 minutes?" And McCartney went up in his studio and they recorded an episode.
Oh, let me. I'm gonna run. I gotta get the call.
Okay,
let's do this. Thanks. It was really nice hanging out with you guys, and thanks for letting me be Jewish and talk your ears off. I'm sorry.
I'll see you tomorrow at 8 a.m.
Yes, and you know what? Everybody watching here, I see Debbie, Chris Vickery, Deb Smith. Thank you guys for coming in on the platform and checking out Chuck. You guys are wonderful, and anybody else that didn't show up from my world. Shame.
Thanks for bringing a few people. I appreciate it.
And check out everybody else over here, guys. Make sure you tell everybody the links where they could all find you. I'm Adiko Live. I'm easy, and I'm also handsome.
Oh, yeah.
No, I'm not joking. But it's a great talk to you. You know, look at hey Barbit, look at him. How you doing, Bob?
Say hello. You're muted. I can't hear you.
I want to be rude.
Talking to you. I don't know if you can hear us.
Nice to meet you.
Are you here?
To meet you. But no, honestly, it's all really great. This was a great idea, Chuck. This is like a man's club here.
I know. There's no women. They're all too scared.
I like this. This is cool.
I thought Troy Patrick was coming. TPF.
Yeah, what the hell?
Troy Patrick is a great guy.
I just talked to him on Christmas Eve. He ate Thanksgiving at my house one time, and he was dating a girl at the time, and she was vegan. And I'm like, we're having turkey, man.
I played with Troy too, with Gilby, because he plays with Gilby. Right. So I used to play. He's a great guy,
yeah.
Troy Patrick.
He's so nice. He's one of the first people to do my show, and when I was like dog shit, and he was so nice to me. And he had great stories about like hanging out with Axl Rose and like.
Yeah, he has great stories. You know, really good guy. You know, Chuck, you got a great show, man. Thank you very much. And you got to do this more often. I'll come on anytime like this with you guys.
I love it.
I'm down for this.
And I'm going to ask Chuck for you guys' information and whoever right now says no, don't rob.
I added you on Facebook.
Oh, good.
We're both
Yeah,
mutual
everybody
friends
add
with Phil
everybody on
Barone.
Facebook and subscribe to everyone's YouTube channel and listen to all the podcasts. That I mean, that's,
You're friends with Phil
And
Barone,
don't
aren't
ghost
you?
a DK.
Oh, I know him a little bit. I don't know him so well.
He's a trip.
Yeah, I don't know him so well, but I know him.
That's a good guess, guys. Get Phil Barone from.
He's funny, right?
He
What's
was
I
his
mean,
in,
I'd like to
comedian
get
or
some
what?
more comedians. I'd like to get some
comedian.
no,
Yeah.
he's a drummer for Saigon
Yeah.
Kick.
And he was a drummer.
Oh,
He
Phil
he was
Barone.
drumming with,
Yeah,
Zach
from he was
Wiles
in
last
Skid
band.
Row, and he was a
Yeah.
porn star, and he
Yeah.
was in
Yeah, trust me, I couldn't do that gig. I'm Jewish. There's not much to show. It would never work out for me. It would never work out. Listen, you guys, thank you for giving me the time and talk you guys' ears off. And really
Now we-
nice meeting you guys. And
Yeah,
good
I'll
luck
see you
with
tomorrow at
everything.
8.
I'll see you tomorrow. It's 7 a.m. my time, and you're only 1 hour ahead of me, right? That's it.
1 hour later.
Okay, that's okay. Great. We'll be there. We'll have a good time. All right, guys.
Okay.
See you later,
See you
man.
later.
Thank you guys all. Everybody in the chat, mazel and a lot of love to you. Remember, Chuck does the research, not like me. If you wanted to, check out Chuck. All right, guys. I'll see you later. Bye.
See ya.
Made you.
So
Rob, say hello. You're muted, buddy. Oh, that's my friend Rob. Oh no, he's not muted.
No, he was.
No, I still can't hear him.
Can you?
Oh, you're like delayed. You're on like those wireless.
I'm
Hold
curious,
on.
David and Matthew, what are your white whales? What are your
Oh yeah, I want to hear the white whales.
I would say Alice Cooper, Iggy Pop would be mine.
Oh yeah.
Ooh, Alice Cooper, I think I'm close to.
Suck.
If I get him, I will pass his
I
information.
tweeted at him.
I can't
Alice
hear it,
Cooper,
and
do
then,
Cooper talk, and he didn't respond. I said we have the same last
Get
name.
off the
It's
website.
Yeah.
perfect, yeah.
Yeah, there's got to
Do
be
you have
some
a
connection
dongle?
there besides.
Mine would probably be Dave Grohl or Paul
Can you talk
Stanley.
on those?
Oh, there you go.
Oh, nice.
How about you, the Meister?
I'm Dave Grohl. I would love to chat with Dave Grohl. I've been trying. I can't get anywhere, but I would love to chat with him. I think that'd be fascinating. And then
Who's your biggest guest that you've had? You think? Like, what would be the name if you're going to go after David Grohl? Like, what's the name that you would try to put out there and say, "Hey, well, I had this guy."
Well, with Dave Grohl, because I know he's a big Venom fan. I've
Ooh.
interviewed Mantis
I had him too.
and Tony
He's
Dolan.
great.
So I think
I didn't
that
know
would
he was
be
a
my
he's a
chance.
Venom fan. That's kind of interesting because that's not what the music you'd think you'd listen to.
Oh, he's a big metalhead, huge metalhead. Yeah.
Oh,
Well, have
really?
you ever heard Probot?
Yeah.
Yeah. So all the metal, yeah. So but yeah, I think that's where for me, it'd probably be currently it'd be Dave Grohl. I mean, my big giant unicorn would be Bruce Dickinson of Iron Maiden, but I know that will never happen. So
Why does he not do interviews?
he does, but it's big people. He doesn't do little shit like me. So I mean, you never know. Who knows?
You can get there, you can grow
You'd
it,
be
though.
surprised. These people.
Yeah. I mean, he likes beer, so maybe.
He has his own beer.
That's a good angle.
That's the
That's
perfect
right.
angle.
That's the angle you should go at. That's what the one guy I had on my show. He does a podcast, and he said he got a lot of the guests through their marketing things. Like if they have a beer or like whatever, he would hit up that marketing company, the publicist for the beer company, and to get them that way. So that might be an angle to try instead of going through the record company. Go through the beer company that he has and hit that publicist up.
Or like Michael Wilton from Queensryche. He has a beer.
Oh,
So,
I didn't
and
know.
Dave McInerney from Y&T, he has a wine. So they love to talk about that stuff.
Yeah.
I think Jesse Dupree of Jackal has his own egg bourbon or something, which is
Yeah.
not technically beer, but alcohol.
Oh, yeah, that's cool.
Oh, I hit him up. I never heard back. Well, I should try again. I think I'm friends with him on Facebook, which is like weird. If it's
That's odd.
really him. Sometimes you wonder like if you're friends with someone on Facebook and is it really them or is it just like a fake account or a bot?
It usually is, I think.
PR
You can tell
guy.
by the mutual friends. If you see who the mutual friends are, then it's like people you've never heard of.
But sometimes I swear, but sometimes like they'll comment or they'll like stuff, and I'm like, is that really them commenting and liking, or is that like their like social media manager doing it for them?
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah. you never know.
suspicious.
I'm curious, Chuck, how did you get Sebastian Bach?
Me? I never had Sebastian Bach. I would love
You
to.
did. Did
No, I've
Okay.
been in talks with somebody who said
Maybe
that
that's
they
it.
might get him for me, but no, I've never had him yet. I would freaking love to. I think it'd just be fun. I was a huge Skid Row fan, but also even if you're not a fan of his band, like he's just so entertaining in interviews, and like he won't hold back. He'll just say whatever the fuck he thinks, which it always makes for a great interview.
He like
Somebody
herding
like you would
cats.
talk to him, but I guess not.
No, I wish I had on his guitar player, one of his guitar players, and his bass player.
Oh, maybe that's what I'm thinking.
And so, yeah. So, but that actually those episodes did pretty well. And I really enjoyed talking about, the work that they did with him. So that was fun. So I'd recommend at least having those people on. It's a good, maybe possible in.
Yeah, I was gonna hit his bass player because I'm friends with him on Facebook. Probably in January sometime when I start my season again.
Yeah, David had him on. I had him on. He's a great guest, and he put me on the list for the concert too, the Sebastian Bach concert. And he's just super nice guy. Really responsive on if you hit him up on Facebook Messenger, he's usually pretty responsive.
That's what I was gonna go with. Try to get him. So yeah.
Dan, who would you want to see us interview? Is there anybody on that obviously David Grohl, that would be amazing,
Yeah.
but is there anyone else that, or I like the people that maybe that you haven't seen anyone interview that you're like, find
I think
this
Henry Rollins would be awesome.
Yeah, I think for me, I'm a big Sammy Hagar fan. Not just from his music, but man, that guy's got no filter, right? So
yeah,
he would be a great interview. Kind of along the same lines of Dave Grohl, who's but Axel, just because he's so elusive and nobody gets him, right? So if anybody ever got Axel, that would be huge. I think Tommy Lee would be a good one. You don't hear him do a lot of interviews, and Lord knows he's got some stories to tell, right?
Oh yeah, he did my friend Darren's show for like 30 or 40 minutes.
Really?
Yeah, that's pretty good. So Matthew, who was the other? Was there another one besides Henry Rollins for you?
Well, he would be cool just because I really love Black Flag and Rollins band. But that would be cool because like he doesn't do a whole lot. He does mostly like his stand up and has his own radio show. So
and he's so smart. He's got good stories. He's so eloquent as a speaker. That'd be a good one for sure.
I think Jello Biafra would be fascinating.
Does he do interviews?
No.
And when he does, it's a train wreck usually because he's
really
smart ass.
I had Lucky Lair and Greg Hetson. And the funny thing about Lucky is, if you don't know, Lucky's the drummer for the Circle Jerks. Well, he was.
I love it.
And I went to a barbecue the next day at his house. There was like 8 of us, and one of the guy, something Biskaski, or who was from Black Flag, or I don't know, the bassist, whatever was there. They were just chilling. But Lucky is also a tax lawyer. So I'm going to his house in the Hollywood Hills, and I'm driving up, and I'm driving up, and I'm driving up, and I'm driving up. And it's like he lives in like a $6 million fucking mansion, like looking over. And I was like, holy shit. And that's where I met Redman at his party, because at his party, Rich Redman was there, Jason Sutter was there, Doug Aldrich was there, a bunch of people. But Lucky was like, told me about the whole punk scene. And I interviewed Hetson at Hetson's house. And it was just cool because they were like on the forefront of that LA punk scene.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny how some of those dudes, the difference in kind of where they've gone, like Keith, from Circle Jerks and Black Flag, with Off now, and is still very punk and very kind of underground and not a millionaire. And same with Jello, but then some of the band members have become pretty successful.
Well, Greg Hetson went to Bad Religion, but got thrown out because of his addiction. But then I saw him play in Philly with Marky Ramone, and now the Circle Jerks are touring again. And they had that big thing, punk rock karaoke, which they have, different people come in and do a song, and it's like him, and it's Stan Lee from the Dickies, and 2 other, Darren Pfeiffer and someone else, and they do gigs, and it's really, really popular. I think punk's coming back. Like the 80s music had a big resurgence. I think the punk is coming back just because people are like, it was really good music.
Yeah, I tried to get someone from Circle Jerks, and I never heard. I said I'll take anybody, any member, because they had that tour. So I thought I'll help you try to promote it. I never heard back.
it's amazing the ghosting or when you don't get like my big, I mean, I've sent out lots of messages and requests for interviews multiple times and nothing happens. And the one rejection I got, which really pissed me off because it was the artist, and I won't name any names. The artist said yes, and their management said no.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't big enough. And they basically sent me a fuck you letter. And it was like, really? Wow. Because, your artist said, yeah, I'm in. And this was years ago. This was before Zoom interviews. It was going to be an email interview. And really frustrating.
Wow.
I've still got.
You'll have to tell me off air who that was. I'm curious.
Yeah, I've still got I'm still kind of pissed off about it because
I have so many that say yes, and then I say, okay, what time? And then they just ghost you. And I'm like, why did you say yes if you?
You have to try to get referrals sometimes too. Like I had Glenn Matlock from the Sex Pistols on, and I know he plays in a band with Clem Burke. And I said, listen, me and Glenn hit it off, and we talked a little bit after. So I sent him an email and I said, hey, thank you so much for doing my show. Is there any way you can reach out to Clem Burke for me? Because what's he going to say? No. I mean, I just interviewed him. And he goes, let me send him an email. And if he's interested, he'll hit you up. And I've got a lot of guests that's way. When we feel weird, you feel weird asking.
I feel weird doing that. You're a lot ballsier than I am.
You know what? But I'm in the business. So I'm in business development in a day. So I do all my business from networking. So you'd be surprised though, because when you take time to talk to these people, it means as much as to them as it does to us. I mean, because they're getting to talk and they're doing an interview, and someone, if they're not huge but they're big, and it's a good way to do it.
For those of you guys that have been doing it for a while, do you find that you're getting more receptive responses nowadays, that podcasting has become more the norm and it's harder for people to break through in mainstream channels? Do you feel like people are more responsive to you now, or is it the same kind of BS with the publicists?
I think for me, it's the thing is like once you get in with the publicists and they send out those like emails and stuff, then for them, I think it's just like a numbers game. They throw as many interviews for a lot of artists. They'll just throw out like Dee Snider. I think it was somehow I got in on that publicist, and I think he just set up a ton of interviews. I don't think they turned down a lot of people, but you kind of have to hit them up at the right time. If I hit up like Dee Snider now, they're probably not going to care. So a lot of it's just timing. I think it's not necessarily, I don't think a lot of them look at how big your channel is or whatever. They're just like, okay, we're doing interviews. We're going to do as many as we can. I think the only one that like Nikki Sixx, the manager's like, yeah, sorry. Like, no, like basically I'm sure they probably did look at my channel for that one. But I think most of the mid-level people, I think they just do as many as they can.
I've gotten a lot through Facebook.
Great interview, by the way.
I've gotten a ton through Facebook, just because what you do is you see if you have mutual friends, because I have become friends with like a lot of the actors that are on my show. So, so you sit there when you do your query letter, you put all the mutual friends, and you put that, and they go, oh, okay. And sometimes they'll go, hey, I had Alicia Coppola, the actress, tell a bunch of her friends to do my show because we had a good time, and I had Wendy Liebman get me Judy Gold, and she got me Terry Nunn from Berlin, and she got me what's her name from the Bangles, not Susanna Hoff, the guitarist. I can't think of her name. Vicky Peterson. So that's the thing. If you sit there, if you get along with them, they'll a lot of times they'll refer you, and then it's so much easier when you send an email and such, because you get to put in that tagline, such and such told me to contact you.
Well, and then you and I have helped each other out a bunch too. Yeah. Like you've gotten me a lot of guests, because I see like they'll do your show and I'm like, oh, and you're just like, here, if you want to have them, they're promoting this, or I guess for they're doing podcasts, so like if they did my show, they'll do yours, vice versa. So I think that's a good way by seeing, but then it's harder too, because you kind of want to stand out in a way, and you want to get that elusive interview that no one else has gotten. But sometimes it's better to just get the numbers and get people on your resume, and then
I think it also like depends like I've tried to really like formulate my interview inquiry to be like super professional with everything, and I think that also helps too, like when you're talking to people, because like I always include like my link tree and all that stuff in the email, like, hey, if you want to check out my stuff, here it is. And that all looks super professional too. So I think that also helps, is how you have to portray yourself very well too.
I think I've gotten lucky in that I have an ally where this kid, I shouldn't say kid, but I could be his dad. Yeah, he watched, and he has lots of connections. And I do a lot of underground metal, especially underground metal from the late '80s, early '90s, so death metal and black metal. So it's not necessarily people that people don't think about anymore, but a little bit. Some musicians that are kind of off the radar, I think, in terms of modern music, and kind of happy to be exposed again. And so I think that's where this guy John has really helped me out, because he's into that, so he'll connect me with all these thrash metal guys and death metal guys from way back that he's friends with, and that's been helpful for me a lot. And then they will talk to each other, which is kind of cool. Kind of that, yeah, like Steve was talking about, that those kind of connections where they're like, oh yeah, you should talk to the Meister. He's a cool guy. He's nice. And my approach has always been very conversational. I'm not like these metal magazines. I'm not looking for a soundbite. I'm not looking for controversy. I'm not looking for mudslinging.
Have you ever gotten any press though? Has Blabbermouth picked up any of your articles and stuff?
No, probably because I badmouthed them a couple times.
Oh, you?
Real quick, I want to say that Debbie Muller, Lita's done my show. She's very nice. She said cool. Lita Ford.
Ooh, I would love to have her on. Yeah, I think I reached out actually. Never heard back.
You could get her in person, Chuck. She lives down here now, I think, in the valley.
Does she?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Well, you guys have a plethora of rock stars living down there. You should have your pickings with them, right?
I know. That's why I think I could get Alice Cooper. My buddies from the radio station has interviewed him a bunch of times. And I don't know if he changed publicists, but like the one said, oh, not right now, but maybe later. And then I saw he did like somebody else's show and I was all pissed. And then, but I think maybe they,
go golfing. He's a big golfer. Track him down on the course.
Yeah. Tell him you know David Ledbetter.
I saw I saw Alice Cooper at the mall one time. I saw him and my girlfriend didn't believe me. I go, that's Alice Cooper. And she goes, no, it's not. And I go, Alice. And he just turns around and I was just like, rock on. This is like the dumbest thing ever. I was like, fuck, I should have gotten a picture or something, because he's like really nice from what I hear.
Yeah,
I've heard he likes to go shopping, so maybe the shopping mall is a good place to stalk him out.
That's where I saw him at Paradise Valley Mall.
I've heard that from several people.
When
he's on tour, he loves to go shopping.
Yeah,
shopping and golf.
With him,
yeah, I totally recognize him. I mean, you could tell it was Alice Cooper.
Nice.
He tours so much that it's hard to get him for stuff anyway. Because like, I think obviously with with COVID going on, it's like he had time, but like now he's like back at it. Like I'm seeing him in Wabash, Indiana, of all places.
Well, and the thing is like, so I've had his daughter on. I had Calico Cooper on, who was a great guest. You guys should have her on, Bisto Blanco. And then I've had like half his band. I've had Damon Johnson, who played Alice Cooper. I had Ryan Roxy. I'm probably missing a couple, but I've had a couple other people that have played with him.
I had Sobel. Sobel's really cool. He's an amazing drummer.
He is.
Oh, okay. Glenn Sobel?
Yeah. Hit him up on Facebook.
Okay.
He came into that band right after Eric Singer left, didn't he?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, guys, I gotta go put a kid to bed. I'm gonna be the one that bows out next. But
that's fine.
Thanks for putting this together. I had a blast. And,
let's do this
nice
again.
meeting all you guys.
I'm surprised everyone's lasted this long. This has been amazing.
Right?
I got nothing going on.
Yep.
Me either.
You're talking to a bunch of guys that like to talk. I guess we probably shouldn't have been too, surprised by it. But nice to meet all you. And
yeah, nice to meet you, David.
Nice to meet you too.
May officially in video instead of on phone.
Yep, and go Cougs.
Go Cougs. All right, now it's all equal. I like this. This is nice. I still can't hear Rob. I don't know. He's still muted. You know you're muted, Rob?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yeah. How's it going?
Hey, what's up? Yeah, all right, man. Just thought I'd drop in and say hello.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah. Rob is my good friend. We work together at an education, which I don't recommend anybody do, but you're sticking with it, and I applaud you for that, because I couldn't do it anymore. I had to get out, to jump ship.
You did the right thing, man.
I know I did. I tell everybody, don't get into education. You're a really good teacher, though, and you've won all these awards for your music teaching. I think we should get somebody like one of these rock star people to come to your school and talk to the kids.
Well, I tried to hook you up with an interview with that cellist. Remember that cellist I was telling you about? I had his kid. He's a Grammy award-winning cellist, Zul Bailey.
Oh, okay. Yeah, maybe I should.
He's hard to reach. Yeah, he lives in
Oh,
El
okay.
Paso, and he just like he tours. But yeah, I mean that's like the closest like celebrity. You know, you guys are talking about all these famous people you've interviewed. I mean, the biggest celebrity I've met. So.
But you could probably.
Through
but I'm
teaching.
saying like, because you teach guitar, so it's like I'm sure that like they wouldn't the kids love, or do the kids even care? What do the kids in guitar class listen to these days? Are they excited if like a big guitar player comes in, or they have no idea who he is?
I mean, in guitar class, like the tastes in music are like so extreme. Like, you know, I got one kid who's really into like grunge, you know, so like if, you know, someone from Pearl Jam came in, he'd be psyched.
Okay.
But then like
Sure.
the hip hop kids in my class would be like, who's this guy, you know, like who's Pearl Jam? So
But you got hip hop kids taking guitar classes.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Hey guys, I got to jump. I'm on the East Coast. Add me on Facebook. It's Steve Cooper. I always talk to Chuck, and and I'll just check out my show. And if you guys need help with guests, if you know, as you said, I've done a lot, and I've gotten a lot of guests, but I try to be very generous getting.
Yeah, you've helped me with a lot. I appreciate it.
So
thanks, Steve.
Hit me up, and I'll be out there. Or you can email me cooper@coopertalk.net.
Cool.
So,
sounds good. Thanks, buddy.
Guys, have a good night. Thanks, Chuck. This was great. Let's do it again.
All right, let's do it. Yeah, so guitar. Yeah, so it's always interesting because when I remember when I worked in the schools, I would try to tell people, I'm like, dude, rock is coming back, because all the kids would be wearing the rock shirts. Like I would see, and it was all the old bands. It was like Guns N' Roses, Metallica, like all that kind of shit. More so than like you wouldn't see as many newer bands from the kids, which you'd think the kids would have the up and coming, like, you know, bands that you've never heard of, but a lot of it was the bands that we all know.
Yeah. Well, and I think I think is very cool. So I have I have two children of my own, and then I have a stepson, and they're all in their early 20s. And I'm fascinated by what they listen to. And I think it's really cool because they have a much more open mind than I did as a kid. You know, I was a metalhead, I was a rocker. And they all listen to a vast genre, you know, all sorts of genres, which I think is great. Because I do now, but I mean, I'm still a metalhead, but I listen to a lot of different stuff. But I think it's really cool that they're listening to everything. Really, I mean, it's amazing what they listen to, like classical music, hip hop, you know, 80s glam rock, 80s.
Because it's so easy to do that, right? You don't have to buy the record. You could just go on Spotify and YouTube and listen to all sorts of crazy shit. And then you're like, oh, actually, I kind of like this. And it's like, it's free.
And it's kind of brought me back because they're listening to it. So I'm getting pulled back into the stuff I listen to, kind of pre-metal. You know, like Duran Duran and Tears for Fears and stuff like that.
I love Tears for Fears.
And I'm like, wow, this is great. This is great music. I love that you guys are listening to this. This is awesome. Yeah, so it's cool. I think it's good that, you know, and especially my son is very musical. He plays saxophone. He's multi-instrumental. So he listens to lots of different things because he's interested in music, which is, I think, very cool. And I think there's a lot of kids that are like that now. And I think we as older, grumpy, you know, especially me, I'm probably the oldest person here. You know, all these kids today, that kind of mentality. But then I think they're much more open-minded than probably I was as a kid, which I think is good. Really good.
Absolutely. Really, yeah, I know.
Almost too open-minded. So I've got a 13-year-old. He plays clarinet. He plays in the band. And he listens to anything, but he likes almost nothing. I mean, he just doesn't care. He hasn't become like a fan of anything yet. He'll listen to whatever I play, and every time I'll ask him, he likes it, but he doesn't get excited about anything. Like I've taken him to some big concerts. I've had him hang out with the Black Moods, and he just nothing phases him. He doesn't get excited about anything. And it's like when I was a kid, that would have been fantastic.
Must just be his personality then or something. Yeah, because I'm the opposite. I'm like, I fanboy out almost every guest I have. Even if I'm not a fan, by the end of the interview, I usually am. I'm like, oh, wow, that's so cool. You did this and that. I'm like,
yeah, I'm the same way when it comes to that.
Yeah, it's just like, I just love talking to these guys. And a lot of them, especially the older musicians, they just have so many good stories. And then that's why I like doing the research, because I learned so much about, I'm like, oh, wait, you were played with this guy and you were in this band and you toured with this guy. And like, I mean, it's like, there's so many great stories. Like, because Matthew, you do more of the indie bands. And to me, those are like way harder interviews because they don't have as many stories and experiences. So it's like, you got to try to find stuff to talk about. And that's hard sometimes.
You definitely got to do your research. I mean, it helps. Most of the time I meet these people at a show beforehand, so I kind of already can expect a few things. But that's kind of why I focus more like on like if they recently did like a music video, I'll be like, okay, so what was, how'd you come up with the idea or how'd you make it happen?
Yeah.
So I've done that before. But yeah, it is a little bit tougher. That's why like I'm kind of moving into this season. I kind of want to get some more established guests for that way, like I can get like maybe some more entertaining interviews, because like some are cool, like the indie band's cool, they get exposure and stuff, but I also kind of want to just have fun and interview some fun people, because then I don't have to do as much research.
Right,
I'm already a fan.
Yeah, and you've done so many interviews. It's like you'll get more followers with the bigger names.
Yes.
Like whether you want to admit it or not. And it's like, I don't think it's like selling out to get the bigger names, like, because that's what people want to hear. I mean, that's why you're doing the show, is to get people to listen. And then you hope that they dig in and follow you and listen to some of the indie bands and stuff too. Cause I love having the indie bands and the newer bands on as well, especially if I'm really excited about them. It's like, I want to share that with the world, but it's just so hard to get those ones, people to listen to those interviews sometimes, because they don't already have a following. It's tough.
Yeah, it is. I know, kind of, let's see, in a couple weeks, probably like January, I'm going to send out there's a few people I have in mind. There's some people who I know, so I might be leaning on a few connections. Like, I'm friends with Damon Johnson on Facebook randomly. Like, I just sent him a friend request, and like he accepted it. And I was like, wow, because like I love, obviously I'm a huge Alice Cooper fan, so of course I know him. So I'm gonna try to get him, because I think that would be cool.
Oh yeah, he's great. Yeah. Watch his my interview with him, like even watch that Sammy Hagar clip. Like that story is like, he's such a good storyteller and he's so fun, and like, yeah, he was one of my top interviews. I think he was one of my favorites, and yeah, I think he'll do it. I know he's promoting his new solo stuff, but he'll probably do it. Dan has his email. I probably do too at some point. If I went and searched for it, I probably got it somewhere. That's because I messaged him on like Instagram and he never I messaged him like several times and he never responded. And I was like, damn it, I feel like he should do my show.
Didn't miss, because like some people are really good at like responding, and then like there's people who like will never respond on Facebook, Instagram, doesn't matter.
Yeah,
won't respond.
Yeah, it just depends what they prefer. For me, it's like I prefer Instagram Messenger or Facebook Messenger, because I'll see it for sure. If you send me an email, it might get buried because I get a bunch of junk mail. But for them, I think they're getting a lot of fans reaching out on social media, and they don't get as many emails. So
yeah, definitely with Damon, email's the way to go.
Yeah. He didn't never responded to Instagram, but email, he was like, boom, right away. So
do you think you can give his email to me?
Mm-hmm.
Chuck has
I can get it, or Dan can get it. Okay. Yeah, I can look for it right now. Actually,
we don't have to do it on air. I don't need it on air.
No, that's fine. You guys can talk, and I'll look for Damon Johnson email.
I think he would be cool. Another one who she doesn't do too many interviews, I've noticed, but I've started to know she's been doing a few more. Is the bassist for White Zombie, Sean?
Oh, Yvonne. Yeah,
I tried to reach out to her. She's doing interviews.
Yeah, well, I just saw like she just did a post like a few days ago that she did an interview very recently. So I was gonna try it just to see, because I think that would be cool.
That'd be really cool.
Yeah, that'd be great. I know I saw them play. I saw them in Seattle play. I think it was the Paramount at White Zombie, and it was when she had her appendix out, and they're like, yeah, Sean just had her appendix out, and we're all like, oh shit, is she not gonna come? And they're like, so she's going to play, but she's going to play sitting down. So she sat down the whole show, but she played, and it sounded great.
Nice.
Hey, Chuck, back to your point about, big names versus more smaller, unknown indie acts. I mean, I can tell you guys as a listener who consumes, a lot of podcasts, man, time is precious, right? And you gotta pick and choose your battles. And I mean, as much as I love listening to what you do, Chuck, I can't listen to all of them, right? So I'm gonna.
No, I don't blame. Yeah, I know. I never. People are like, I'm gonna try to listen to every episode. I'm like, dude, I don't expect people
I don't either.
to listen to every episode. I assume that, I hope that the band is going to share, or the artist or comedian or whatever. I hope that they would share it, and that their fans would want to listen to it. And then, I only have, I'm sure I have some loyal listeners, but I don't have people that are going to listen to every one of my episodes for sure. So I totally understand. And I think that's just like, I think that's the way the world is right now. Like, I love Joe Rogan. I love Howard Stern. I don't listen to every one of their interviews. There's just no way I'd have time.
Impossible.
Yeah, it's impossible. I pick and choose. And that's what's kind of nice, because you can pick and choose. Like, 10 years ago, I wouldn't be able to, like, half these hair metal guys that I'm huge fans of, they didn't do interviews. You couldn't find interviews of them. So it's cool that I can listen to a Joey Allen interview and stuff. So I think that's what's kind of nice about having so many podcasts in the world.
Yeah, for sure. And in fact, stumbling on to different podcasts by searching out the subject matter, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like that's
right.
Probably how I found you, is with the interview you did with the Black Moods, right? And so I'm looking for other interviews they've done, and boom, it opens the door. So I would say keep it all up, but understand that you guys got to put some big names in the mix to really get that attention, right?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. And then you gotta have the mix, I think. Cause I think if you just have the big names and it's like people that are doing a ton of interviews, then you're not really standing out that way either. You got to have some of those indie bands and develop, because my thing is, like, I tell some people, I try to convince, like Steve, he just left, but I think I was trying to convince him, like, you need to do some of the newer bands, because, you got to think, where do you want to be in 5 years? Because in 5, he even said, he goes, yeah, a lot of these guests that I've had on are dying. I'm like, well, yeah, you got to start thinking towards the future. And, like, these younger bands are the future, so you want to have, that's why, like, I like having like Joyous Wolf or the Black Moods and those kinds of bands, because they're just going to continue to get bigger. Whereas the older acts are fun now, but they're not getting any bigger. They're not getting any younger. So,
well, we hope they get bigger, right? That's the big concern in the business, right? It's like, when all these older acts die, who's going to fill the arenas? Because these younger bands aren't getting the support that they need to grow to that level.
I think they will, though. I think that they are slowly but surely. I mean, like Royal Blood, we saw them, and dude, they freaking killed it. They were so good. And who did we just see? The Van Halen's kid, Mammoth or whatever. They opened for Guns N' Roses. Dude, that band is sick. Like, I mean, I don't know.
Do you ever picture them selling 20,000 seats in an arena, though? I love this stuff,
maybe.
But I'm not. I don't think they will.
I don't know. Eventually, I feel like if you just, it builds slowly over time. I mean, in 5, 10, 20 years, you never know. Who knows what? Maybe there'll be a new style of music. I don't know. But I hope that some of these bands get to that point, because I feel like they deserve it. Like, they're like Joyous Wolf and the Black Moods. I mean, these guys are they're so entertaining. Like, and honestly, like, I prefer a lot of these younger bands to the older bands, because right now they sound better.
I agree with you 100%. I worry and don't think it's going to happen. Even look how many bands can fill a stadium now. There's not very many.
You know what, though? Honestly, like, I'm okay with that. I saw John Corabi in a freaking tiny little venue, but he was amazing. And I was like, this is a great show. I don't care if there's only 100 people here to see it. I actually prefer that. It's actually better. Like, I would rather not see them in stadiums. So as long as they're selling enough tickets to do a show and I can see it, then I guess it's
but how many people are going to continue down that path if they're not making the fortune or getting the to the level that you're going to see some of these younger bands not stick it out long enough, because it's harder for them to get there right now.
I think definitely depends. Like, right now, like, the tour with Hailstorm and Evanescence, those, like, that's like, they're doing those huge tours and like those huge, amphitheaters and arenas and stuff. So, like, I would say bands that are like at that level established, they're going to go on for a while. Like, I think it's like that generation of bands who are going to be like the next like arena bands, I would say. like not the bands, like I interview bands and I see at small clubs, or like, you know, like the or John Corabi playing like those small venues, because he played one, I think, in Detroit. I didn't, you know, obviously I'm not that close, but so I would say definitely like the Hailstorm and Evanescence, like they would be selling out. I would say.
Oh yeah,
like
I agree.
Shinedown and
Yeah, but those bands have been around for a long time. They're not the up and comers anymore. I mean, Evanescence is like what?
But
Probably
they still got a long.
20
Like, they
years.
still can go on for a while. It's not like they're just gonna, you know, call it quits in 2 years or something.
Nope, I agree with that.
I think it may also be bands are gonna have to start thinking of other ways to market themselves. Like we talked about earlier with them having a beer or some sort of like, you know, other product. You can't just, you know, because you can't make any money off CDs, so you gotta have like other ways to market yourself.
Yeah.
And
You can't make money off your music. It's everything else.
well, unless
Look at a band like Rival Sons.
Ooh, good
they've
band.
been at it for they should be bigger than they are, and you know they're selling, you know, maybe 3,000 seat venues out now. They should be playing arenas with as long as they've been at it and the trajectory that they've had, right? But can't break through. Radio is a big problem with that.
I think too. I think too that like they're probably doing okay. They're probably making enough to pay the bills, and they're probably pretty happy. And also, I think all it takes is like one, you know, Hyundai commercial to get their song played, and they're millionaires.
I do agree with you on the radio part, like, because I listen, like, I have my internet radio show every Friday, and like I play like, you know, a bunch of different stuff I love. But like you compare that to like actual radio, and they just play like pretty much like the same, like maybe 20 artists a day, maybe. And
nobody listens to radio. Everything's Spotify and streaming now.
Yeah.
But I mean, radio is a big part, though. I mean, that is how people like discover, you know, different artists, is by listening to the radio, and then they go to the Spotify and the streaming services.
You think? See, I don't even listen to the radio, like terrestrial radio. I don't listen to that at all.
I think it plays a part. I don't think it's for like everybody, but I think it definitely plays a part with people listening to new stuff.
And it's how bands have grown in the past, right? I mean, so maybe it's not just because radio won't play them. It's people aren't listening to the radio. Whatever the reason is, it's not happening now.
It's part of it's money too. That's a big part.
Well, yeah, something's got to happen though. Somebody's got to fill the shoes when the Rolling Stones and the Guns N' Roses and all these other bigger bands retire and go off into the sunset.
Well, the Rolling Stones are immortal. I don't know what you're talking about.
Apparently, yeah, it's crazy. They're still like killing it. I mean, they're playing like giant football stadiums.
Yeah.
Still, it's crazy. All right, guys. Well, it's been 2 hours, so I think maybe we should wrap it up. And I think there's only like 5 people less listen. And I always wonder that 5 people watching, does that include the 4 of us? Because then there's only one other person.
I don't think so. I think that's on your YouTube channel or Facebook or whatever you're on.
All right. Well, I'll take it then. So we got 9 watching technically.
I'm not watching on anything. I'm just here.
All right. Well, thanks for doing this. This is a lot of fun. We'll have to do it again.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Good. And everybody follow each other and subscribe and all that good stuff.
Definitely.
All right. See you later.
Take care.
Bye-bye.